Monday. Hope everyone had a nice Mother's Day weekend. I know the Stallions did. The Braves, not so much. We'll keep you informed and entertained over the next 4 hours. We're wide open today. It is Reaction Monday. So much to get into. As I mentioned, the Stallions' big win. Unfortunately, the Braves, a bad weekend in Pittsburgh. We've got Alabama and Auburn baseball making headlines. And, man, what happened? She is now a second runner-up. I'm talking about Jordan. She just could not bring home the hardware.
I think she needed more buzz. She needed more pub going into the pageant.
Did you see who won?
Yeah, Shelby.
Yeah, Miss Banger.
Yeah, Miss Banger.
Yeah, Miss Banger.
Told you guys. It was going to be Shelby. Who finished second? Was it Ariana De Jesus? Or De Sosa? I might be combining her with a relief pitcher for the Braves. Anyways, do you think that Chapel Bill, it's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. I have ordered something very special for you. And he ordered her like a Tiffany encrusted diamond tiara that she can wear, even though she didn't win it.
I hope so.
I like to think that he did.
He was hanging out with her 40-year-old dad on the front row.
It's funny because Bill looks like that guy's dad.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. 40-year-old dad?
Late 40s. I mean, he's not 40.
I was doing the math there, and I was like, that's
40s.
a whole nother. They went from one extreme to the other. Yep. I wonder what they talked about.
I saw him congratulate another one of the contestants.
Yeah, he kissed her on the cheek.
Yeah, that was very nice of old Bill. Little sugar.
Do you think he stayed there at the Holiday Inn, or you think Bill had better reservations?
Bill strikes me as someone who's not afraid to stay at a Holiday Inn.
You're probably right. I don't know. Are Holiday Inns in Maine nice?
I mean, I think they try to stay pretty uniform with their brand. It's been around for a second.
Maybe some more whale decor in the Maine location?
Like at some locations, you might get the artificial putting green out front, but in Maine, probably not.
Probably not.
Something different. I might have been combining that with Hampton Inn. Anyways, great places to stay all over the country.
The Stallions win yesterday on Mother's Day, and as we predicted when the schedule came out that this was going to be pretty much a scarce crowd, and it was. Only 4,000 showed up for the game. It's the worst attended game in the history of the Birmingham Stallions. Don't know why the UFL thought that was a great idea to play. First off, over 51%. This is a Pew Research. 51% of the people in Birmingham, Alabama go to church on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We have around 1.4 million people in our metro area. So if you do the math, then you're looking at 700,000 people are expected to be in church on Sunday morning. So you can go ahead and mark those people off potentially going to your game on Sunday morning.
And on top of that, weather, and then Mother's Day. The potential for the threat of weather.
The trifecta.
Yeah, we kept waiting for it to rain at my house, and it finally happened at like 11 o'clock last night. But yeah, what do you expect?
4,774 people attended Birmingham now. Their attendance is the worst it's been since spring football was launched, under 9,000 now, 8,413. They averaged almost 10,500 last year. Going in the wrong direction. Now, I've got one more home game left before the playoffs. So they're going to play Michigan. That's a Saturday afternoon game on May the 24th at 2 o'clock. So maybe we can get more than 4,774 people show up for that game.
Isn't that Memorial Day weekend?
No. Or it might be. I'm not sure.
I think it is.
It's also SEC baseball.
So when all the kids get out of school, everyone takes that first day. I'm just saying.
But the good news is the Stallions did win. They faced a 25-6 deficit in the first half. Birmingham scores 27 unanswered points. They were down by 13 at halftime. The 13-point halftime deficit was tied for the largest comeback in the history of the UFL, so that was big. Houston only had 14 yards of offense in the second half. So the defense that wasn't there in the very first part of the game for the Stallions, they showed up big time in the second half. Cookus, he was 17-34. He had a touchdown, one interception before he was injured. Jamar Smith, man, you can't say enough about him. Dude was retired just a couple months ago. And then he comes off the bench, goes 3 of 5, 63 yards passing, has the big touchdown run. And the Stallions get a very important win to move to 5-2. And we talked about it late last week with Skip Holtz, how important that was, because if Houston would have won that game, then all of a sudden they split during the regular season. Then you got all sorts of tiebreakers and just causes all sorts of problems. So with Birmingham's win, Stallions now 5-2 on the season. So that was big.
Yeah, and if you get, based on the way it's shaking out now, you win one of your last 3 games, and you're going to be in the playoffs because you're going to be in the top 2 of your division, and you got to go to St. Louis this weekend, so at least they'll get to play in front of a lot of fans.
And goodness gracious, don't lose another one of the Memphis showboats, which you get in week 10.
That cannot happen.
Well, the good news that Memphis had reportedly 4,200 people at their game yesterday. So
we're not last.
Yeah. So I had so many people over the weekend like texting me, "Oh, this is it. Like Stallions are gone. Like the franchise is done." You know, just because nobody's attending games and just want to remind everybody that this is a television product. They would love to have people in the chairbacks, but at the end of the day, the TV folks will make that decision.
I still think there were about 4,000 more people at the Stallions game than there were at the Roughnecks game 2 weeks ago, if you saw pictures of that stadium. So.
Yeah.
Well, look, and there's worse things where some of these things are slotted. There are less entertaining things that you could be watching. I mean, yesterday that was a compelling game.
Oh, that game was excellent, especially if you got out of church and you were able to chime in for the second half, and that's kind of what you caught. Yeah, that was great for the people that stayed for the whole game. They got their money's worth.
But again, though, what Pat went back to about the number of people that go to church on Sundays plus Mother's Day, if it had been a Chamber of Commerce day, you probably wouldn't have gotten over 7,000 people, 6,000 people.
So last year we all attended the game the Saturday before Mother's Day. They played the Battle Hawks, and there was almost 15,000 people at that game on a Saturday. So it was Mother's Day weekend. It was just on Saturday, not on actually.
And it
Mother's
was the
Day.
Battle Hawks, and you had A.J. McCarron
Correct.
quarterbacking.
Because that was the most attended game in Stallions history, right?
I believe so.
Last year, the Battle Hawks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there'll be about 30,000 watching them this weekend.
Well, I mean, look, and what has the average been roughly this season? 10,000 before yesterday?
It was under 10. It was like 9 something.
Yeah.
I think it was like 9,500 last home game. She did half of that yesterday.
But once again, I mean, what do you expect when you have a league that basically flies in here to play a game and then they leave?
Mm-hmm.
And again, Skip does Fox 6 television weekly with Janice Rogers and Mike Dubberly, and he does this show. But outside of that, what other means of advertising do they do?
And again, this day and age, this is not like 1988. If you put a pro team here, there are so many other things grabbing at people's attention.
And listen, Skip Holtz has been very honest with us in studio, on and off the air. I mean, they want to be in Birmingham. They would love to train in Birmingham. They would love to rub elbows with folks at the grocery store. I mean, Alex Magoo, when we had him in studio, I mean, him and his girlfriend, they just went on and on about how much they loved Birmingham and loved the people. And it's just very difficult for a league to do that because you're basically, renting out the city's names for these teams, but there's no equity. And when there's no equity on a Mother's Day, how many people feel vested enough to take their family to Protective Stadium? Those are questions that Moose Johnston and the rest of the bigwigs at the UFL will have to ask themselves. But as long as the TV folks are happy, that's all that matters. So,
well, you're going to have to get creative if the UFL decides that, we want to make a concerted effort, have a campaign to get more butts in the seat. You're going to have to do more promotional stuff, and you're going to have to incentivize the fan. It can't just be, hey, come and watch this for 4 quarters. No, I'll do that from my house. You got to incentivize. I go back to my dad taking me, I can't remember, Pat, if it was a World League of American Football Birmingham Fire game or a CFL Birmingham Barracudas game. But one of the games we went to, set up there in the end zone was Ronnie Millsap. Up to that point, I had no idea who Ronnie Millsap was. But boy, when he belted out that first song, I knew exactly who Ronnie Millsap was. And it was entertaining, even for 10-year-old Landrum. Sitting there and watching. And then the football game, that was a bonus. and I don't know how much money the league wants to put into it. I don't know how much how much daily involvement he has in that. But
well, I mean, listen, I mean, Conrad brought this up before, and this is, I mean, I thought it was outstanding that he notices this. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's got how many social media followers?
Almost 400 million on Instagram.
All right, 400 million on Instagram. How many posts does he have in which he promotes the UFL?
Well, I will go look at his account right now, but I know when we were talking about this recently. So he has 393 million followers. He did actually post 4 days ago, he posted something promoting the second half of the UFL season. So that was his first post about the UFL since the start of the season.
This was week 7.
So in the last month and a half since the start of the season, he has made 2 posts, one for the kickoff weekend and one last week for.
And
how
much was he paid for that? Because last year he got paid for social media by the United States Army, and the United States Army was going to sue him because he did not live up to what he was supposed to do.
Am I the only one that assumed by him putting tequila in every one of his posts that meant football? Tequila was a new word for football?
Free tequila at every UFL game.
Ooh.
ABC board would have a problem with that.
Yeah,
but I like where you're going.
I'm just saying, you can't tell me a post a week wouldn't do I'm not
like
saying it's going to make a
tequila infused menu item.
Something.
$5. You might have an issue there.
A $5 tequila cocktail or something like, something affordable.
But see, television ratings have been down 25% than what it was last year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not all rosy here.
So
you can say what you want to about people aren't going to the games across the board. I mean, for the exception of St. Louis.
Level of play is down across the board.
Yeah. I mean, it starts with quarterbacks. I mean,
does.
Birmingham's on their 4th quarterback. So it doesn't matter what level of football, whether you're at your local peewee or you're watching high school, college, pro, if you don't have a quarterback that's worth the darn, then that's going to affect the product.
Well, and the reality is, this was kind of pushed as, well, these guys are going to get a chance at the NFL, and some of them have, but the guys that you actually notice that have gone to the NFL.
Kickers have.
Kickers, and Kevontae Turpin, who is the kick returner for the Cowboys, and he's great. He's a specialist. Like that's what you've gotten out of this, is specialists going to the NFL, and that's it.
And you also had some local guys when it was the USFL where you tied those local guys in, and you could sell a Bo Scarborough or somebody else playing on a roster.
Absolutely.
Now it seems you still have some of those local guys, but not near as many across the league.
Well, the good news is the Stallions won 33-25. Here is Skip Holtz after the game talking about his quarterback, his current quarterback, J'Mar Smith.
J'Mar has, I always wanted J'Mar on this roster, was disappointed when he made the decision that he did at the beginning of the season. I think that time was good for him. That time was good for him. And ever since probably the 3rd game, he has been texting me with regret about the decision that he made and how much that he wants to be back involved. And I am just appreciative and grateful that those opportunities have shown up for him. I think the world of this guy. We've been together for, 6 years, 7, since 20. We've been together a long time. And that's how this gray got in this beard right here. You know what? Is because I was with J'Mar. Well, I'm that too. So you know what? I'm bald and I've got gray hair. But the guy. More than 30. This no, I know. We get to get rid of this.
Cut that beard.
I know. Miss Jen is excited about that, having the opportunity to lose this.
And you heard Skip last week with us talking about how he was going to have that little goatee beard, whatever you want to call it, until they scored 30 more points. So he gets to shave.
I remember J'Mar Smith leading a Louisiana Tech team inside of Legion Field against UAB.
Well, J'Mar Smith was the quarterback for the first USFL championship.
No, I remember that,
Stallions.
but I can just remember back to his La Tech playing days. They have been together for a long time. I don't know what it looks like for Case Cookus, but is everybody in favor of J'Mar Smith? I like the spark that he came out there with.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Absolutely. Knows the system. Nothing against Cookus, but J'Mar's got it, man.
Got to go to the Dome now.
Let him roll with it.
Yep.
Going to play the hated Battlehawks. They'll pack it out, won't they?
I mean, they've been having around around 30,000. I don't see any reason why they won't show up because the last time they had 30,000 on a Friday night, you had the Cardinals in town over the weekend, literally blocks away from the stadium. And you also had another event
Hockey.
going on. Yeah, that's right. Stanley Cup playoffs.
The last time the Stallions were there, they won a title.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say this is kind of a revenge game for St. Louis because we've kind of gotten the better of them, and I know last year, they were.
Remember their
fired
potty
up for
mouth
that
coach?
game. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A little bit of an edge. I kind of liked it.
He did. The Tony Vitello of the UFL.
It's good.
Is that what we're going with?
He's a pudgier Tony Vitello.
He had another big weekend.
Yeah, very much so. This is Three-Man Front Reaction Monday, 1-800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. When we come back, some breaking news from the NBA. We'll tell you all about it and who is coming back to television as a special correspondent for NBC. That's next. Well, we all know that NBC is getting back in the NBA business coming up this fall. We talked about it last week. Round Ball Rock, the theme by John Tesh. That will be their theme music for the upcoming NBA on NBC. And this just announced a few moments ago that Michael Jordan will serve as a special contributor to NBC's upcoming NBA coverage. And to my knowledge, Landrum, since he retired, I mean, he's done so many other things off the court. I don't remember him, putting his toe in the TV portion of the NBA. And then that could be, of course, because he was owner of the Charlotte Bobcats and the Charlotte Hornets. So maybe that's why he has not been available to do television, but NBC is bringing him on board as a special contributor.
No, he's done a lot of stuff in private business, whether it's with racing teams or, as you mentioned, with the NBA and of course, apparel line and all of that stuff. It's the empire that he has built. But Michael Jordan has never seemed like he was super comfortable in front of the camera and doing those kinds of things. If you go back to the Bulls documentary, and I can't recall the name, but it's the one that most everyone watched. He didn't want the cameras inside of his actual home. They staged that in a very nice home wherever they shot it there in Florida. But Michael Jordan, anytime that you can add him to the broadcast, that is a 2 thumbs up, and you will get more viewers. You will get more viewers. You will get the viewers like us that are not tuning into the NBA because it's the GOAT and we remember the era that he played in, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, it will be fascinating because the era that you and I grew up watching the NBA, many people say was the golden era of the NBA. And being able to hear MJ potentially have comments about LeBron James and these
today's
stars.
players.
Yeah, today's players and how the league compares to when he was winning championship after championship in Chicago.
Well, a long summer of heat and humidity are ahead, so keep your home comfortable with Trane, America's most trusted HVAC brand. And to give you more peace of mind, Trane is offering up to 10-year warranties on parts and labor on select home comfort systems. To learn more about this offer and to find a specialist near you, visit Trane.com.
Well, it was a rough weekend for the Atlanta Braves up in Pittsburgh. This is the way it sounded on the Braves radio network here on Jocks.
Fairchild running for Ozuna at first, Olsen at second, Riley at third. Need a big knock right here. And the 2-2 pitch on the way from Wentz to Murphy. Swung on and he mashes one out towards left center. Down for a base hit. All the way to the wall. Riley in. Olsen in. Here comes Fairchild. He's in as well. Tie game. A bases clearing double by Murphy. The right button punch right there to bring him off the bench. And he's able to shoot the gap past Bay. And we're tied at 3 in the 8th. The 2-2. Ground ball left side. Allen has it. He comes home too late. Pirates win. Infield was in. Allen went to his right, gloved it. By the time he came home, nothing he could do. And the Pirates walk it off. They beat the Braves 4-3, and they take this series.
Well, I predicted it last week. I said that this would be the series that the Braves go up there. They play a team that on paper is not good, and they go up there and they lay an egg. And you really can't blame the pitching. And the pitching hasn't been perfect. In Iglesias, he did not have another good relief appearance. But it's a hitting. Go to it. And even the guys that you were able to count on now, their averages have regressed. They're not getting timely hitting. Ozzie Albies is not good. Verdugo has gone back to Yankees form. Season
only a matter of time, I'm afraid.
Yeah, season is it's still there, but I'd like to see something start happening this week versus the Nationals. But who knows? Maybe those continue to play mediocre at best baseball. That's always fun. But it's a fun time. I'll still go to games. It's a fun venue.
Yeah, Albies, I think 0 for his last 22. That's rough.
There's an example right there of the product doesn't have to be great, but I can go over there and I can enjoy myself.
Yeah, have a good time.
Yeah.
Chris Sale gave up 3 runs, 2 earned in 5 2/3 innings. Atlanta now 0-5 in games when it could have reached 500, including a loss at Colorado and 2 at Pittsburgh. Those are the 2 worst teams in the National League.
Glad we were able to give Bud Black one of his final wins.
Mm-hmm. Only 1 of 7 that he got the entire year. Pirates started the series on a 6-game losing streak. 7-game losing streak. And they had the second worst record in the National League before the Braves. came into town.
Yeah, we just didn't know they were going to be reinvigorated with the new manager, Landrum. I'm sorry. It's just a buzzsaw.
The Pirates are not good.
And up until yesterday, the Pirates had gone 17 games without scoring 4 runs until yesterday. A lot of boxes were checked over the weekend for the Bucs.
And on top of that, we didn't get Paul Skeens in any of those starts.
Nope. No, yeah. 8 total runs in 3 games. That's.
But see, here's the good news
Hard way
for
to
you,
win.
Landrum. The Atlanta Braves Holdings Company,
What, I have a remote?
they are reporting their earnings today. So I'm sure they're going to be talking about how much money they've made. And they obviously did not spend it in the free agent market.
You think the tariff news that might have bolstered the stock a little bit?
I don't know.
Bolstered a lot of other ones.
So the Braves open up a 4-game series at Washington tonight. Washington is coming off of a 3-game sweep by the St. Louis Cardinals, who have now won 8 games in a row and is 1 game behind the Cubs in the National League Central.
It would have made sense to be in D.C. tonight, going from Pittsburgh, but no, we're back in Atlanta.
Grant
Well, you get to go
Holmes-
to Washington in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Grant Holmes, 2-3, 4.58 ERA, goes up against Jake Irvin, who is 2-1, 3.94 ERA.
Well, glad your Cardinals had a good weekend, Pat.
My
Yeah.
Cubs.
Your Cardinals.
Your Cardinals, you're 1 game out of first. Your team's in first, Molly. Your team's
I'm
in
feeling
first.
good.
Mm-hmm. Molly has the best record in the American League.
I sure do.
And I also want to point out that the Cardinals have not lost since the Cardinals in Rome went to conclave.
There you go.
That's a stat you're not going to get anywhere else.
Nope.
So they're not going to lose the rest of the season.
Just saying.
They haven't yet.
That is a true fact. Since they went to conclave, the Cardinals in St. Louis have not lost.
It's because we found out he's a White Sox fan. If he had actually been a Cubs fan like
Might have been
initially
different.
reported, it might be different. But since
So-
he's a White Sox guy, it's okay.
If this trend continues, we can expect good things from Stanford,
Yes.
Louisville,
Yes. All sports.
Arizona, NFL.
Yes.
No, I
Right.
just think Arizona's just cursed.
Maybe Kyler Murray stopped playing Call of Duty. Maybe that was what the
Ball State.
conclave could do. Yep, Ball State.
I just love it how the Cubs came out quickly and claimed him.
Oh, with the post of the sign at Wrigley Field
It's
with
like-
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, then everybody in the world.
I just want to know who went back and said, you know what? I remember seeing this guy on TV in the 2005 World Series, and somebody went back and found that clip.
Well, they went and they found his brother first. And his brother was like, I don't know where all these reports are coming out that he's a Cubs fan.
Yeah, and then his older brother, he gave an interview and he said the same thing.
Well, why would he want to be a Cubs fan, Pat?
Well, I mean, conventional wisdom would tell you if he's from the southern part of Chicago,
Be a
that
White Sox fan.
you're a
Right.
White Sox fan.
I would've kept
If you're
it vague.
North side, you're a Cubs fan.
I would have just kept it vague.
I'm a Chicago fan.
Yeah. Do we see him doing more appearances here in the United States at events like sports venues?
I don't think so. I was watching something
Throw out a
last
first
week.
I was going to say, if we ever had a Pope throw out a first pitch.
Ooh.
They said that he, of all the choices, he was the most un-American of the Americans. That's why he was voted.
So there were multiple Americans that were
That were under
candidates?
that were under consideration, and that he was the most un-American of the Americans. Like they don't even consider him an American.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, because he spent most of his adult life in Peru and other places, and
So what are your thoughts on capitalism? I hate it. All right, we got a strong contender here. What are your thoughts on Buc-ee's? Disgusting establishment.
I don't know if he's ever been to a Buc-ee's.
I enjoyed the pictures of the Vatican City with the photoshopped Buc-ee's and Waffle House. I thought that was pretty good.
So the most un-American American that we had to choose from.
That's what multiple people said.
That's how the
Vatican
world
City.
views us.
I was about to say, so should we be offended by that, or is it still a victory for
You know
the
what?
Americans?
I don't hate it.
Win is a win.
That's right, Molly. A win is a win.
Some days I look around, I don't hate that.
We will take your phone calls. We will open up the text line 205-834-9450. This is Jocks 94.5 Reaction Monday. It's 10:34, Jocks 94.5. We're still a couple of weeks away from SEC spring meetings in Destin, but the Atlantic Coast Conference today, they're going to have and start their spring meetings. A beautiful part of the world, Amelia Island, Florida. That's where the ACC will gather over the next couple of days. NCAA President Charlie Baker, he is going to speak to the assembled group this afternoon about the future of NCAA governance. Last week, the men's and women's basketball for the ACC, they agreed on a new 18-game basketball schedule format. They'll also discuss the new revenue distribution model that will be further detailed to the member schools. We already know that obviously Clemson and Florida State, they're going to be able to have a windfall based on their television ratings and wins on the field. Now the rest of the league will get an opportunity to hear from Jim Phillips on how they can make additional money. So the ACC spring meetings get underway today.
Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East in Birmingham. Wonderful people. That's what I start with because that's where it starts at Dobbs Ford. It's the customer service you're going to get from the Goshen's husband and wife managing partners. Their son Austin is there in the sales department. Just top to bottom, the entire roster of Dobbs Ford folks are folks that you want to deal with. People buy from people. That's a phrase that I learned early on in my career, and it remains true, not only here in Alabama, but across the U.S. Dobbs Ford, you're going to get the best offer for your trade. You're also going to get the best offer that you can get on a new vehicle anywhere from any competitor at Dobbs Ford. Dobbs Ford, check out Alabama's largest showroom selection. You're going to get Ford employee pricing right now on select makes and models and 90 days until your first payment. Dobbs Ford, make sure you mention Landrum from Jocks 94.5.
Auburn baseball continued their hot streak over the weekend. They picked up their 7th conference series win. They took out South Carolina. The series win marks 6 straight for the Tigers over the Gamecocks since dating back to 2015. The Tigers picked up a dominant 24-2 win in the series opener on Thursday, 11-10 in a walk-off fashion in Game 2, and they finished Friday's finale with an 11-3 win. The Tigers now find themselves 16-11 in the SEC. The Tigers will be back in action on Tuesday for their final midweek matchup as they take on Jacksonville State. Auburn enters the week in the regular season, number 2 now in Baseball America's weekly poll. They are number 1 in strength of schedule and number 2 in RPI. So Auburn baseball is hitting all cylinders right now as they get ready for Hoover. Meanwhile, Alabama, they claim both of their doubleheader games against Georgia yesterday. They improved to 39-13 overall, 15-12 in the Southeastern Conference. The Tide started the day on Sunday, beating the Bulldogs 9-3. Riley Quick got that win, and then they win 5-4 in 7 innings in the second game. Georgia won game 1 of the series 19-3. So the Tide, they travel to Gainesville for a 3-game set to close the regular season. That starts on Thursday against the Florida Gators. So if you look at the Baseball America brand new top 25, you've got 10 SEC teams that are currently ranked in the top 25. I just mentioned the Auburn Tigers. They come in as the number 2 team in America. LSU is the new number 1 team in the Baseball America poll. Georgia is 4, Texas 6, Arkansas 7, Vandy 10, the Gators 13. Alabama has jumped up. They're now number 16. By the way, Troy's 14. So Troy continues to have a really good season. Tennessee Vols 18. Ole Miss Rebels come in at number 22. I'm going to mention Tennessee for a moment, because the Tennessee Vols had another rough weekend at home. They lose 2 of 3 to the Vanderbilt Commodores. Take a listen to the postgame. This is what it sounded like with Tom Hart.
It was, and it's over. McIlvain strikes out Peebles with the bases loaded. Game 3. And it continues as spills out in the field as Vandy's shaking hands, and we got to get guys separated. Abernathy was the first one in there. There are a lot of words exchanged, but seemingly nothing else. I think they're just exchanging Mother's Day greetings.
So it's the second week in a row that Tennessee loses a series at home, and they act like complete idiots on the field after the game. First it was Auburn, and now it was Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it's become a pattern with them and winning a national championship. And I'm sure Tennessee fans, they probably love it. But
it's interesting that you said that, because a couple of guys that I follow on social media that cover the Tennessee Volunteers programs, they were very critical of that happening yesterday. Many of them said, you lost the series, get off the field, get in the locker room. Like, enough of this.
yeah,
But that's the edge that they play with. And Tony Vitello is not going to change the way that he is, because they won a national championship the way that he runs that program, and that's not going to change.
they have lost that edge here of late.
So they have had – Tennessee has played 5 SEC series in Knoxville this year. 5. They are 1-4 in those series, and they won the first one. They opened up with the sweep of Florida. Since then, have not won an SEC series at home this year.
Yeah, not good.
That's a beautiful ballpark. I would love to
Oh, it's
attend the
great.
game. there
Yeah,
in
the
Knoxville.
renovations and things that they've done over the last couple of years has been outstanding. So if the SEC tournament started tomorrow, you would have Alabama and Auburn both playing on Wednesday. Auburn, just the way that the standings are in tiebreakers, Auburn would be the 5 seed, Alabama would be the 8 seed. The top 4 seeds would be Texas, Arkansas, LSU, and Georgia. They don't play until Thursday. So Tuesday's matchups would have Ole Miss against Missouri, Kentucky against Mississippi State, Florida against South Carolina, and Oklahoma against A&M. And speaking of Missouri,
Yes.
a shout out. Quite a shocking weekend in College Station. They get a clean sweep of Texas A&M, not only beating the Aggies, but they absolutely dominated them in the final 2 games. They out-hit A&M 38-11 in the series. Mizzou started the weekend 0-24 in the SEC, and they had the worst pitching staff in the conference. So if you're keeping score at home, the Merry Milkman, when it comes to baseball, they were a preseason #1 team in America. And as of this moment, most folks are projecting that they will not make the NCAA baseball tournament. It would be the first time in 35 years that a preseason #1 team in baseball has not made the NCAA baseball tournament. And they are trending now not to make it.
And you lose Schlossnagel, you lose players off of last year's roster, and you got a young guy that takes over. My guess is how quick before Trev Alberts says, thanks for your service.
I would think a change is going to be made.
I think it will be inevitable. And the reason I bring this up is because over the weekend, there was a report out of Mississippi State that Mississippi State's kind of zeroed in on 3 guys. One is Dallas Baptist head coach Dan Hefner. But he's been at Dallas for like over 20 years, and he's got that thing rolling really well. And not really sure if that's a fit in Starkville, but word is he would be the #1 choice for Texas A&M if a change were to happen. Former Mississippi State player and Georgia assistant coach Will Coggin, that's a name that is persistent in Starkville about coming back to Starkville and taking over that program. And also, this is a weird one. I'm not really sure where the ties into this, but maybe it's just thinking outside the box. But Arizona State skipper Willie Bloomquist, his name is prevalent, potentially taking over at Mississippi State. And also, word is that they are willing to offer a salary that would make their head baseball coach one of the 10 highest paid baseball coaches in college baseball. So Mississippi State understands where their value is as an athletic department, and they're willing to spend to make sure that happens. So,
have you found a tie on Willie Bloomquist?
No, I'm going back. He played at Arizona State. He's been the head coach there, or the manager, for 3 years, played about 12 years of Major League Ball. So I don't know. He's from Washington State, so it's not like he's from Mississippi or anything like that.
I think that's just one of those that's outside the box. And
I mean, he's got a winning record at Arizona State.
I mean, because look at who Alabama hired.
And that has worked out pretty well for them.
It has, but there was no connection.
No, to Maryland. No.
Played with the Mariners, Royals, Reds, Diamondbacks, and Mariners. And his MLB stats, 269 average.
There's been worse that's played the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got a 12-year career in Major League Baseball.
He's got a nice little pension.
That's
maybe he rescues Bulldogs.
Maybe so. Maybe they just wanted an excuse to travel out to Arizona State and conduct the interview.
Or if he's at Arizona State, he must be good.
Maybe so. Because Tempe only gets the best.
Man, go from Tempe to Starkville.
Well, LSU went to Tucson.
True.
That proud program.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for Willie.
That's an interesting. Willie's our guy.
Yep.
It looks like that Coggin is like supposedly the #1 guy.
Okay.
Played there.
I was about to say, former player, knows the program.
Top assistant at Georgia.
I was about to say, Georgia's program's been rolling, and ironically, that is who Texas A&M would have to beat this weekend if they want to make the postseason. They have to go to Athens and take down a Georgia team that is pretty good.
Yeah. Owning a home is great, but it can come with its share of headaches. Some of you out there are having foundation issues. Cracks have started showing up. Those doors and windows won't close right. You can't ignore it because those issues are going to get worse. That's why you need to call Alabama Professional Services today at 205-951-9717. APS can send a team out. They really know their stuff. They'll inspect everything, explain the problem clearly, and offer solutions that are tailored for your home. Call them today, 205-951-9717, or visit them at alabamaprofessional.com.
Willie Bloomquist, by the way, in 1998, tied a College World Series record for a single game, had 5 hits in a game versus Long Beach.
Not bad. That's why they want him.
There it is.
His success against Long Beach State.
That's right.
We'll hit the text line. Your phone calls next on 3-Man Front.
We will open up the text line, 205-834-9450, 1-800-239-WJOX. Calls are coming in. This is Reaction Monday. Anything from over the weekend, whether it's the Stallions, Alabama, Auburn, big baseball weekend. We got SEC baseball tournament coming up very, very soon. All of that, we'd love to hear from you today on Reaction Monday.
Mandu is electrical muscle stimulation fitness. It's right there in downtown Homewood. And Mandu, with that electrical muscle stimulation fitness, it's the technology that's FDA approved that makes it work. It's a 15-minute workout, but because of all of those smart people who came up with this technology, the 15-minute workout is the equivalent to 6 to 8 hours in a gym. That's right. You go through the 15-minute workout. You've got electric pulses go to various parts of your body. Depending on the workout, what you're trying to get achieved, they tailor make all programs for the individual end user. You're going to get results. I can promise you that. Try it out for yourself. Your first visit is free. They'll put you through the workout. You don't pay a dime, no obligation. Mandu in downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. Tell Paul in the Game that Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
So Wednesday night, the NFL will have their full schedule release, but today, NBC, Fox, and Prime Video, they're going to share a couple of nuggets about their upcoming broadcast schedule. Tomorrow will be ESPN. Also, Good Morning Football on the NFL Network. They'll have a little bit of news of what the NFL Network will be able to broadcast. Then on Wednesday, you'll have CBS and Netflix announcing their official schedules. And then on Wednesday night, you'll get everything. But earlier this morning, the NFL kickoff will take place on Thursday, September the 4th. It will be on NBC, and it will be Dallas at Philadelphia. What a game to start the season.
That's a good
between those two teams. It has been more than a quarter century since the Cowboys and the Eagles have played in week 1. So that is pretty phenomenal that is going to be the game to kick off the season in Philadelphia, the defending Super Bowl champions taking on the Dallas Cowboys and George Pickens.
Yeah, and
George Pickens, yes.
But with the rivalry, I can't think of that will be a game that I circle. I want to watch.
Oh, I mean, that's defending champions, division rival with the Cowboys. I mean, that is on a silver platter for the NFL.
So what was the Instagram brouhaha with George Pickens over the weekend? Did you see this?
I did not.
Apparently there were some criticisms about his time in Pittsburgh. And he had been on a plane and then he landed, and apparently a lot of folks were commenting about something that was said about his time in Pittsburgh. And I did see where Mike Tomlin and the general manager of the Steelers, they were asked for quotes over the weekend. And they basically said, I'm paraphrasing, that it was just good for both parties that we went our own ways.
Yeah, so what I'm seeing right now, apparently he made some comments saying, quote, talking about the Steelers, they're the cheapest organization, ain't no stacking year after year. They gone, essentially saying they let all their good players go and they don't want to ever pay them to keep them around. And then he said, and what you were saying, he said, literally on a plane, no service, just landed and seen straight lies from the Pittsburgh fans. Stop with the AI trying to make a story. I'm happy for everything the Steel City did for me. So insinuating, I guess, that the fan base doesn't have the
But the original
picture.
post, he was talking about them being cheap.
Yes. Which, I mean, to be fair, you had 2 quarterbacks last year. You didn't pay any of them. You have George Pickens. You didn't pay him. You had Najee Harris. You didn't pay him. You paid TJ Watt, which was good. I could see where maybe he's coming from in some of those areas.
Apparently the fans did not take too kindly.
Well, no.
Nobody wants to be called cheap.
Of course not. But the reality is you also haven't won a playoff game in a decade. So, going 500 is great every year, but at some point you're going to have to spend some money and win some playoff games.
So let's drop $100 million on a quarterback that's on his last leg.
No, not necessarily. But are you talking about Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
He's giving him a discount, right?
Didn't he say he'd play for $10 million?
Yeah,
That's
think
not
so.
bad. And stock options.
Meanwhile, speaking of quarterbacks, maybe Aaron Rodgers will end up in New Orleans because Derek Carr, he is retiring after 11 seasons.
Derek, this is
Man.
good for you. This is good for your family. This is good for Saints fans. This
It's
is not
the best
good
for Saints fans.
This is not good for your doctor.
It's good for Tyler Shuck.
So think about this. Both sides will gain financially. By retiring, Carr is going to forego $30 million guarantee for this season. So he won't get that. While the Saints won't seek reimbursement for the $10 million roster bonus after signing him. So still a little discrepancy there
Man.
in the number of millions of dollars owed, but in
I'll
the
give
long
credit
run,
to both sides there, right? Because I mean, if you're Derek Carr, you could, let's be honest, he could have taken the crappy way out of this and played and gotten paid that money, knowing he wasn't going to be worth anything. And good for the Saints for acknowledging, hey, yeah, you passed up $30 million, so we'll give you the signing bonus. And
I'm sure Derek Carr's
Okay.
comfortable, but leaving $30 million of guaranteed money not to not go through one more season.
well,
do you want to guess how much money he's made in his career? Because I saw this number yesterday and it shocked me.
yeah, $196 million.
Yes.
He is the 17th largest earning NFL player in history
Ever.
that has ever played the game in the National Football League.
Kids, it pays to be an average quarterback.
The 17th highest earner in NFL history, and that is not adjusted for inflation. That is straight up.
The thing that I love the most is with that $196 million, 0-1 in the playoffs career.
It pays to be an average quarterback, kids.
11 seasons,
Not only that.
$196 million.
An average quarterback that can't stay healthy.
Yep. $200 million for one playoff appearance and you lost. That's what we were talking about with Trevor Lawrence, though, when they paid him all that money.
Yeah.
It's, wow, you've made the playoffs or you won one playoff game.
Yep.
At least he's won one. But still. Whew.
Coming up next hour, we'll open up the phone lines, 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line. It is busting at the seams. We'll get to those texts as well, 205-834-9450. More about Jordan Hudson. What is next in that wild story? Was it fabricated that she was actually banned from the UNC football headquarters? We'll get into that. Also, the SEC potential schedule if we go to 9 games. What would that look like? Well, the SEC kind of gave us a hint about 6 months ago. We'll tell you who Auburn and Alabama would be playing. All that, 3 hours to go. This is Reaction Monday, Jocks 94.5. Welcome back in. It's hour number 2, 3-man front, Jocks 94.5 on a soupy Monday. Chances some afternoon thunderstorms this weekend, man. It was bad all across our area. And hopefully you've written this number down, Golston Tree Service at 205-337-4018, because Golston Tree Service, operated by a certified arborist, they had their trucks and folks out all day yesterday in Mountain Brook, Vestavia, and Hoover, dealing with a lot of downed trees on some property. And you need to call Golston Tree Service. They got the 24-hour emergency storm work that they can handle for you at a minute's notice. That's 205-337-4018. Been in business for over 35 years. It's run by a certified arborist who is willing and ready to come to your property and give you an honest assessment of what's potentially going on, or you have a tree that could cause you problems in the future. Call them today, 205-337-4018. That's Golston Tree Service.
Text line is open, 205-834-9450. With this being a Monday, it's Reaction Monday. A lot of reaction. Stallions, big come from behind win yesterday. It was the largest comeback in UFL history, but 4,000 and change there in the stands on Mother's Day. A lot of reaction to that. Brandon texts into the show and he asked, do you guys think the UFL would draw more people and eyes as a top-tier arena league? We've had the arena league. I did not go to a ton of Steel Dogs games, but the ones that I went to were fun.
You mean just changing the rules to where it's arena style and can jump in the stands and catch and take kickoffs off the bouncy nets?
Yeah.
All that fun stuff. I liked arena football. I thought it was entertaining. But I don't think that it would be more successful than this.
Jody, when do we start asking why Birmingham will not support the Stallions? It can't be the stadium or the location and the team is successful. Maybe Birmingham just doesn't want semi-pro football.
Well, we've had other... I mean, you go back and you look at even as bad as the Alliance of American Football was, and Landrum and I went to those games.
Was that the Iron?
Yeah. They drew more than the Stallions at Legion Field. I mean, for all the years that you heard excuses people made for UAB football about, I'm not going to Legion Field. I'm not taking my family to Legion Field. Okay, so what they do? They built a brand new stadium in downtown Birmingham, one of the nicest you're going to find anywhere.
And to be fair, not to take away totally from your point, but to be fair, we heard about the return of spring football, the AAF. You had Trent Richardson at running back. There was some excitement. There was some buzz around it. Fortunately, the league did not even make it through the season.
Yeah.
Maybe the newness is just worn off. I don't know. Maybe we're, as people here in Birmingham, you tired of winning championships? It's been a great product.
I said many, many years ago, and I've been following this since the Paul Feinbaum days. Trust me, we've been through many, many of these spring football leagues. And the bottom line is that I think so many people in our community, they've got other things going on with their families and outdoor activities. And it's just not important.
And you pair that with something we talked about earlier, which is you don't have that, I guess, community feeling where it feels like it's your team, right? Because you don't see these guys out and about. You don't get to go to events and see Skip Holtz or the Stallions players, and you combine that with, people being busy, and it's, well, why am I going to make time for something that I don't feel like I have an emotional connection to, like they do with Alabama or Auburn or whatever college that they root for?
Well, and still there, you have fans that are choosing, even in those games, certain weekends, let me sell my tickets, or I'm not going to worry about going down there. I've got it.
Good point.
The convenience of my phone. That's how I watched yesterday's game. Church, Mother's Day stuff going on. I watched it from my phone. You're also giving people here, and I don't know what these ratings numbers will reflect for yesterday, but you're giving people another option. It's not even blacked out in your area, Pat. You can watch it.
That's why television matters more. I mean, but when you had better attendance at Birmingham Barracudas game and the Birmingham Thunderbolts, 4,000 people. They had 3,000 and something people at the Alabama baseball game yesterday. And school's out.
Well, yeah. We have a lot more options now than we did in some of those previous leagues.
Just in general, not even in the sports world, just in ways to
but on
entertain yourself.
on top of that, and I'll be completely honest, I watch the Stallions and I enjoy watching the Stallions, but I would be hard pressed to make an appointment television unless it depended on who was playing in the championship game that the Stallions, let's say, were facing, to go and just flip on and say, I'm going to invest the next 3 hours of my time watching Michigan take on DC. This question is texted in. How about for a segment y'all ask listeners, and other than this weekend, why fans haven't shown up? It's embarrassing we can't get at least 17,000 for a 3-in-a-row league champ. I think 17,000 is a little bit ambitious. But I think 10 to 15.
I was about to say, I think maybe 12 be more of a number you could strive for and realistically hope to reach if you did more promotions.
More promotions. Like the Barons have had a lot of success with this thing they called Thirsty Thursday.
And that's been my thing. I'm not saying you have to do it every week, but 1 or 2 home games a year, $2 beer, $3 beer. That's what will get people out to a stadium. Because you're right. If you go to a Barons game on a Tuesday, not saying they have a bad crowd, but you go on a Tuesday versus a Thursday, it's shoulder to shoulder on Thursdays. You can't move around.
Nobody's there for the pitching matchup.
No. It's a social event.
Mike asks, should the Stallions bring in Ruben Studdard for a halftime show? Bo Bice's brother open up for him?
Well, the largest attended game in the history of UAB football was Ruben Studdard.
Trying to get Southern Miss?
Yep. 47,000 people showed up at Legion Field.
Wow.
Largest attended game in UAB football history.
Okay.
That's right.
I didn't know he was a draw like that still.
47,000 people, most of them voluntarily, showed up at Legion Field.
Most of them voluntarily.
Good old Huffman Viking, Ruben Studdard. Go Vikes.
From T-Town Barner, would general admission tickets help pull in more fans?
For Stallions?
They have general admission tickets.
I mean,
they're like $10, aren't they?
They're pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, again, maybe if you have a bunch of kids and it's a little different, you factor in concessions and things like that. But in terms of just getting a butt in a seat, it's very affordable.
I mean, that was just the biggest excuse for every league we have had. It was Legion Field. Every single time. I'm not coming home from work. I'm not grabbing my family and driving to that part of town to a dilapidated stadium and park in somebody's front yard. I'm not doing it. Not happening. Okay, so what's the excuse now? It's a fantastic stadium. You've got multiple options, eating venues around the stadium, parking within, a rock's throw from the stadium. I mean, it's.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to say it's bad football, I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, especially this year.
Bill texts in, I'm in Madison, was a big USL fan in the 80s, went to games. Is there no buzz at all for the Stallions? They have no local connection, it seems. A couple name Bama Auburn players would help some. Seems the community hasn't embraced. Folks watch it on TV, Bill and Madison.
See, do we think attendance would be significantly higher if Mac Jones was the quarterback of the Stallions right now?
It wouldn't.
I don't. Maybe a little bit.
What St. Louis has done is incredible, but comparing Birmingham to St. Louis, and however St. Louis has been able to do it, is wonderful, and kudos to them. But you're never going to get 30,000 people consistently at Protective Stadium to watch that.
No.
You always also had to keep in mind that St. Louis had 2 NFL franchises.
And
that town still wants NFL. They're trying to make a point to the NFL that we want to be back in business with the NFL. There is no hope for Birmingham. That ship has sailed many years ago when Jacksonville was given a team over Birmingham, when there were certain leaders that blocked Birmingham from getting an NFL team many years ago.
So how big is college football, just generally speaking, in St. Louis?
0.
Okay. So do you think that's maybe a factor of it as well, as they don't have that love, I guess, for college football like we do
and
here?
They once had an NFL team.
Exactly. So maybe this is easier for them to rally around.
A Super Bowl champion winning franchise.
Oh, yeah.
But and no disrespect, I'm not taking a shot at Bill, but let's not compare this USFL or this UFL and these Stallions to what we had in the 80s when I was growing up.
No, it's completely different. I mean, you've got these players that's making now $60,000 a year.
Yeah, that was AFL, NFL. Like,
yeah, I mean, go back and look at what Donald Trump was paying Herschel Walker.
Yeah, you had players opting to play in one league or the other that could play in either league. This is not the same.
No, not at all.
More of your text as the show rolls on. 205-834-9450. We do have the phone lines open, 800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Chris. Hey, Chris.
What's going on, gentlemen?
What's up, buddy?
And lady. Oh, man, what a game for those Stallions.
Were you there?
Unfortunately, I couldn't make it because it was Mother's Day.
Yep.
And let me interrupt you for a second, Chris. And there's a perfect example right there.
There's it.
Because Chris is as diehard of a Birmingham Stallions fan that you're going to find. And he was with his mother yesterday because it was Mother's Day, as opposed to going to the Stallions game. So there's a prime example of what the problem is with the league, because the league is obviously disenfranchised from the actual people that are going to go to the game, and all they care about is television. So that's obviously apparent with this situation with Chris. Go ahead.
Getting off, and it was, what can I say about the game? It was cut and dry the first half, man. That was they were getting routed in the first half. Then their resurgence was crazy. I sat there and watched every single minute of my phone. I'm like breathing real hard. Come on. And then all of a sudden, Mets pulled out. Hey, now you're on top of the division. Can you hold? It depends on next week versus Michigan and Houston afterward. Secondly, I want to say is rest in peace to the great Sabu. Yeah, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Sabu passed away?
He died. Yep. Last but not least, but can you believe these people, the so-called sports pundits, are saying that now that Derek Carr's retired, that the Saints are just become this automatic tank first bid tank team? I mean, what gives the impression off that the New Orleans Saints are an immediate tank team? Because it's not like we were like what the number one team overall, like the Titans or even the Jets or like to the Giants. But matter of fact, we even beat teams that people bet against us, and yet we're treated as just like this rollover team. What's going on with that?
You mean, do you think the Saints are going to roll over for the potential of a better draft pick next year? Is that what you're referring to?
I'm saying people, these sports pundits automatically saying because to Derek Carr's recent retirement that the Saints are just going to be this rollover team, that automatic tank bid. And I'm like, what gives that off that impression? Like, I recall, like, they beat teams that most people pick them against, and then all of a sudden, then they become the talk of the town, and then it's like make fools out of those so-called experts.
So who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback for your Saints now that Carr is out?
With experience, I would say Spencer Rattler. I don't know, Tyler Shuck.
Chris, you there?
Oh, yeah. You didn't hear me?
No.
I said with the experience, I said possibly Spencer Rattler, and maybe it depends on how Spencer Rattler plays, but we'll find out come preseason play, I guess. I'm fine with anybody as long as the offense isn't going 3 and out every single week.
It'll get better, Chris. Thank you for the phone call. Once Arch Manning is drafted and can do what his granddaddy did so many years ago. We'll continue 3-man front here on a Monday, Jocks 94.5.
It is 11:18, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday, 1-800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450 on the Courtesy GMC text line. We will be at Social Taco tomorrow. Come on by and see us from 10 until 2. Doors open up at 11 there in Homewood.
Don't miss the Russell Marine Smith Lake Open House, May 19th through the 24th. You can go and check out the larger, new, and improved showroom with an expanded lineup of boat brands. You can view boats from Sea Ray, Key West, Sportsman, Nautique, Godfrey, pontoon boats, Creval, and much more. Special pricing on all inventory and 20% off in the pro shop. You can register to win great prizes at Russell Marine Smith Lake. Get all the details at russellmarine.net. That's russellmarine.net on the events page, and you can follow them on Facebook.
Big announcement coming out of Dallas, Texas a few moments ago. SMU has announced a home-and-home series with LSU. It is set to take place in 2028, the first one in Baton Rouge. In 2029, it will be in Dallas. The announcement marks the first time that these two teams will face each other in nearly a century. Last meeting coming in 1934. So the Mustangs and the Bayou Bengal Tigers will do battle starting in 2028. That will be an ACC versus SEC contest. So major kudos to those two schools for scheduling that.
Yeah, I just saw, and I couldn't call his name, but there was a 4-star that flipped apparently from LSU to SMU this past weekend. Maybe a little something brewing there between those two schools.
Yeah. Also, it was announced this morning, you're starting to get a lot of television announcements, especially in college. And the University of Notre Dame, they have released their NBC television schedule. And for those listening on the Jocks 94.5 app down in the wonderful state of Texas, happy to report that the Texas A&M Aggies facing off with Notre Dame on September the 13th. That is going to be a prime time game at 6:30 on NBC. That was a big game that kind of jump-started Notre Dame this last year when they won down in College Station.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly did. And you think about Texas A&M and year 2 under Mike Elko. College football playoff, yes or no, Conrad?
For Texas A&M?
Yeah.
No.
No?
I feel pretty good about my no. Notre Dame, yes. Texas A&M, no.
Who gets where first? Is it Bucky and basketball in the Sweet 16, or is it Elko getting to a college football playoff?
I'm going to take Bucky.
There you go.
I mean, I've seen Texas A&M do well in a tournament. I haven't ever seen them make a postseason in college football. So
I'm sitting here looking at their primetime schedule on NBC, and they have 3 primetime games on NBC. Texas A&M on September 13th, October 18th against USC.
Yep.
Makes perfect sense. And this one, kind of interesting. They'll play Navy on November 8th in prime time. Everything else on NBC will be a 2:30 kickoff.
Remember when they lost to Northern Illinois?
Yeah. Remember they lost to Marshall?
I was going to bring that up too. Remember that a couple years ago because that was the year they almost beat Ohio State and early on, and then they lost to Marshall, and we all thought the program was going downhill.
Where's the game against Navy? Where are they playing that?
Trying to. Well, the reason why is because I'm looking at their.
Yeah.
And they've.
It's like Pat is looking at a Denny's menu.
I know. The laptop looks like a menu right now.
I mean, look. You tell me.
Yeah. I think
Wait, let me see.
I think it's going to be easier. Just pull up.
I was about to say, I feel like it is going to be at Notre Dame.
At Notre Dame. All righty.
The power of Google.
There it is.
Yeah, it'll be at
Well, I had the graphic right in front of me, but you saw it.
Yeah.
You couldn't make it out.
Well, that'll be fun.
It will be. En route to them collecting 100% of their college football playoff participation money.
That's exactly right.
Good for them. Woohoo.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If only we were getting those Clemson games starting this year.
Now, if you could get Michael Jordan to jump on the NBC football broadcast.
Can we get Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley to do the Notre Dame and USC game?
Oh,
Just let them do that.
That would be great.
That'd be awesome.
Well, considering the fact that Charles Barkley has not spoken to Michael Jordan in about 25 years, yeah, that would be a story.
That would be something.
That would be great.
That would be great. I forgot they don't like each other.
No, I think Barkley likes him.
I don't get the feeling that Michael Jordan likes a lot of people.
Just in general.
Yeah, just in general.
Yeah, kind of likes to be on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if I was Michael Jordan, I probably would as well.
He's very shy.
They could talk a lot about gambling. A lot of experience
They could
between
talk
those
a lot
two.
about a lot.
That's true.
I think Jordan's been a little bit more successful on the gambling realm than Charles Barkley.
Well, it also helps when you have, we talked about last week, $300 million funneled into your account every year because of your Jordan brand apparel.
I saw his house in St. Thomas. It was really nice.
Michael's?
Yeah.
I bet it's spectacular.
And Cliffside Mansion.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
Really nice.
Back to the phones we go, 1-800-239-WJOX. Don, good morning. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Pat, when you were talking to Chris and about him not going and everything, I couldn't go yesterday either.
Dang. No wonder there was only 4,000 people there.
Was Boomer there?
Boomer and the Horsemen were there and everything. That's all you said. That's all the crowd they could show on TV was them. You know, I'm a member of the Horsemen group, and that's really all the crowd they could show. That was the only people there, really. And Pat, I think 4,000 is a high estimate.
Oh, you think so?
I don't know what you think of. Yeah, looking at those stands, and you know, me and you and everybody, we've all gone to those games. There was not 4,000 people there. I thought it was about 2,000, Pat and Landrum and Conrad. Really did. But, hey, we'll work on that. We got one more game to go, and I got some ideas about all of our social taco people going together. So maybe we can do that.
Well, it can't hurt. I mean, based on what showed up yesterday, but I mean, we predicted it last week. I mean, it wasn't shocking. I'll be honest with you. I think 4,700 people showing up at Protective Stadium yesterday was a win-win based on what it potentially was going to be.
Yes, and I agree with you. And at the first show you guys were talking, Conrad, buddy, the first year, and Pat and Landrum, I don't know if you guys went to the very first game they had 4 years ago. There was over 30,000 people there.
We did.
They had to open up the upper deck.
Remember it well.
And everything. And one funny thing about that, me and my buddies were there in the concession stands. They didn't run out of hot dogs, guys. They ran out of hot dog buns before 30 minutes before the game even started.
Pushing that for the low-carb crowd.
And everything. But guys, real quick on baseball, and Conrad, buddy, me and you need to have a little fun here. As y'all know, there's a guy named John Max that always wants to text Conrad and Damien early in the morning about how good A&M is and anything. Well, John Mack, my friend, you just got beat by Owen. Let me take that back. Got swept by Owen 2014. That one I can't believe.
That's bad. That was really bad.
Yeah, we didn't hear from him this morning, Don. Maybe tomorrow.
I imagine you did. I imagine. No, you won't hear from him, and they're not going to be any good in football either, Conrad.
Don from the tightrope.
Yeah, we're going to go out. We're going to go out there and beat them.
And it's interesting that you said that about Texas A&M football, because literally I just saw this. It just came across that Texas A&M wide receiver transfer Ernest Campbell. He's a former 4-star at Texas A&M. He has just announced that he is transferring to Sacramento State.
Oh my God. The plot thickens.
He's a standout on the track. He's a standout on the track team. He's as fast as 10.2 in the 100-meter dash. He's a track star, and he's also a 4-star wide receiver.
He's going to compete with the Jai Hall for the job?
I guess so. So
Okay.
he's heading to Sacramento State.
Okay. Thank you again so much. I know y'all got a lot of people wanting to text and call in, but I will see everybody tomorrow.
Thanks,
all right,
Don.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, join us at Social Taco tomorrow. The doors open at 11 o'clock. We broadcast there at Social Taco on the Square in Homewood until 2 every single Tuesday.
If I can get once I guess they have to, finalize the roster and everything, if there's an Ajayi Hall Sacramento State jersey, I'm buying that. I will wear that thing religiously. That would be awesome.
Can we just get you a Sacramento State jersey and then have somebody personalize it with a nameplate?
We can do that. Absolutely.
Would it just say Hull?
I want to get on the hype train right now.
Will you
Sacramento
alternate
State's-
that with your P-Town shirt?
Yeah.
The catch
I'll wear the P-Town shirt under it.
The catch that he had in that A-Day game might be one of the best catches I've ever seen.
Of all time.
Yeah, and all those passes that went through his hands in the national championship game. Man, what could have been? Practice makes perfect, kids.
You think he was being tampered with at that time?
Oh, no, I just think he had a terrible attitude.
You think he was tampering in his own head?
Yes, I think he probably has
Terrible
been his entire
attitude?
life. Yes.
You can't coach that.
I've heard some stories about him.
Really?
Wouldn't want him on my team.
It says a lot because usually you'll take anybody as long as they win.
Correct.
It's all about the W. More three-man in front on this Reaction Monday. This is Jocks 94.5. More storms here in central Alabama. That's why you need to take advantage of the free roof inspection. No strings attached, no pressure at all from Abide Roofing. Go to abideroof.com, 205-922-7134. That is the number to Abide Roofing. That free roof inspection, there's no strings attached. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up on top of your roof. And it's very important right now because almost every single day we're getting these heavy afternoon thunderstorms. And if you got a loose shingle, that's going to mean leaking into your attic, which then can leak on your sheetrock in your house. Call Abide Roofing today, 205-922-7134. That's what happened in my case. I had some loose shingles, and unbeknownst to me, something was happening in my attic. I called Travis Lloyd at Abide Roofing, his local outstanding team. They sprung into action, came to my house, got on my roof, spent hours on top of the roof, giving me an initial assessment, found the problems, and then dealt with my insurance company. I had to get a whole new roof replacement, and it was all thanks to Travis Lloyd and Abide Roofing. Call them today, 205-922-7134, or go to their website, abideroof.com.
Text phone calls coming in here on this Reaction Monday, 205-834-9450. Drake, our buddy, a big Florida fan, says, guys, I believe the SEC made history with the amount of teams they just got in the NCAA softball tournament. Yeah, they broke their own record. Was it 14 teams? I believe it's 14 out of the 16.
And what?
Or 14 out of the 15 made it.
And what? The top two seeds are Oklahoma and A&M, correct?
Yeah, it's top heavy.
Yeah, unfortunately, they didn't get to play their championship game because of the weather, but clearly the two best teams. So
save it for Oklahoma City, ladies.
That's right.
This one rolls in. Everybody knows a guy like Tennessee's coach who loves to dish it out but can't take it. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We know those folks.
Call him Pat.
What? No, it's not Pat.
I'm kidding.
No, Pat knows how to take it. We do know those folks, though. Yeah. I try not to be around people like that. Then it goes from just some good old-fashioned back and forth to, I really want to physically hurt you.
Yep.
Cliff texts in. He says, everyday listener, Northport, Alabama. Thank you, Cliff. When is Molly's review of Goonies?
This Friday.
Ooh.
So I got all week to watch it.
You do. But it's such a good movie, Molly. You could watch it every single day.
I'm scared.
Why are you scared?
Just some of the images that I've seen.
Baby Ruth bars?
From the movie.
The images?
Yeah. Like I know the movie, I've never seen it.
Oh.
But I know certain characters in the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun thriller. Let's say it's an adventure.
Are you talking about the Goonies?
Yeah, Goonies.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's what I was telling her, is it reminded me of like when you're a little kid and you and your buddies are out trying to just like make up your own adventure or whatever, going through the woods and stuff.
We used to do that.
Yeah.
We walked the creek where I lived.
That's the Goonies.
Yeah.
Plus a Baby Ruth bar.
Also, there was a lot of people on the text line on Friday. They want us to open it up to more suspenseful movies for you.
Mm-hmm.
Suspense is fine. I just can't do horror.
Well, so that's where we had the discussion of what would constitute horror for you. Because me and Pat are in agreement.
Mm-hmm.
You, because it scares you and you don't like it. Me, more so, it's just not my cup of tea. A true horror movie. That's not my first go-to.
Right.
But some of these can be scary just because of how they reflect or portray.
There's not like jump scares. It's just like
real life.
Yeah.
Or gosh, that could really happen. Ooh, that's scary.
Have you seen The Sixth Sense?
No.
Do you know what that is?
Yes. Okay. But I have not seen it.
Because that's one we talked about where it's not scary. It's more of that thriller kind of drama.
Interesting that we go from Sixth Sense to the movie Seven that you brought up.
That's right. And Seven. I think Sixth Sense is definitely tamer than
Have you seen Seven?
No, and I have no desire to.
It's a great movie. What's in the box?
It's disturbing. All right, now that we're going to go up in numbers, have you seen 8 Men Out? That is not a scary movie.
I have not. What's that?
You've never seen 8 Men Out?
I've never heard of that.
The movie about the scandal?
The Black Sox
The Black
scandal?
Sox? Shoeless Joe?
I've never seen that.
I haven't either.
Man, I need to see that. That sounds good.
1988.
Maybe we'll watch that. We'll have a double header with Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, that sounds good. Can't believe I've never seen that one.
Back to the opening game that was announced this morning by the NFL. We got the Eagles minus 6.5, 46.5 over under early line. This listener from our great state of Texas says the Cowboys will get killed.
I was about to say Eagles minus or less than a touchdown.
If that is actually out there,
you gonna jump on it?
Probably.
Do we have any receiver props for George Pickens yet?
Alan says Stallions need to bring in Reuben Sutter like UAB did years ago. For sure, a sellout.
Okay.
Yeah, there's two NFL games on the board right now. You've got the Hall of Fame game between the Chargers and the Detroit Lions.
Like the preseason game?
Yeah, on July 31st.
Oh, man. Call the number if you're betting on that one.
It's a pick 'em.
It's a preseason game.
And the Eagles are -7 over the Cowboys. As the texter just mentioned, 46.5 is the over-under.
It's intriguing.
And I just played the Eagles -7.
There we go, Pat.
This one reads, there's no way there was 4,000 people at the Stallions game, and that was the dumbest thing to play at 11 o'clock on a Sunday morning on Mother's Day. It was not the Stallions' decision, obviously.
I mean, here's my thing. Well, it was on ABC, and that probably had a lot to do with it, because the Memphis game was on ESPN. Because I was on, you should have flipped them, because Birmingham has better attendance than Memphis. Go ahead and take it on the chin, because Memphis, horrible attendance. Just go ahead and make them do 11 o'clock in the morning at the Liberty Bowl.
Sean says college football and NFL will always reign supreme. Yeah, and I think the UFL knows that.
They're not competing with college football.
Can those numbers for your off games continue to be the 700,000 plus mark, and then for your high point marquee games of the week maybe hit 1.1, 1.2 million viewers?
Well, I think that's the hard thing for some people to wrap their heads around is, it's never going to be anywhere close to the 100,000 you get on a college football Saturday. We're trying to get 10% of that, right? 10,000 regularly, which is about what they're at, and that's even a tough ask at times. I think that's where it's hard for people that you can't even draw 10% of what you would in the fall to protective.
But I do think that comparing it to other eras, it's just not fair. People used to go to the grocery store. I still do, but there's a lot of people that I know that they choose not to. They get it delivered to their house.
I think we all agree the biggest issue with this year's product is the on the field does not look as sharp
as it
has in the past. And I'm talking about across the league. I'm not just saying Birmingham. That's no. And people in this market know football. They know what looks good. Mm-hmm. They know when teams are good. And we're trying to fool them on television, and watching a UFL game, they understand real quick that this is not what it was even a year ago.
No, and that's what I've said before. If you're doing this kind of spring league, I think you're better off for what the people want to see is you want to see a 45-42 kind of game. You don't want to see a 18-14 game, right? You want to see the fireworks. And I don't know how you fix that, but it's what people want.
Maybe here locally to get more fans, more fireworks. They do that at the Barons games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fireworks.
People love that. Let them run the bases after the game.
Is David Copperfield still touring? Maybe have an illusionist?
Get Chris Angel to levitate over the field the
entire
game?
Man, make Vulcan disappear?
Ooh.
As long as you bring him back.
See, next year, since the amphitheater is going to be open, you just go ahead and have a concert right up the street.
There you go.
Protective Stadium.
That's right. All, not just Reuben Sutter, all of the state of Alabama's former American Idol contestants
Taylor
are winners.
Hicks, Bo Bice, Reuben Studdard.
Well, that's been my other thing with even just protective in general is, right, you had the, was it Garth Brooks?
Adam Lambert.
Whatever that concert was when it opened, right? And it was a big deal. It
Clay
sold
Aiken.
out. Everyone loved it. You need more events like that.
That was your favorite, wasn't it, Clay Aiken?
Yeah.
You voted for Clay Aiken over Reuben Studdard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. On the landline, and I voted, yes, I did. I actually hand wrote and mailed the show.
Was Adam Lambert your favorite winner ever?
Mm-mm.
Thought he was your favorite.
Clay Aiken.
Where did Fantasia finish?
She was good. What about Bucky? Other Bucky. That went on to the country music career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the turn on a flatbed truck. Yeah.
What's his last name?
Covington?
Billy Currington?
No. Totally different. Stop.
That's who sings
I
that.
was on the track. Is that Billy Currington?
Yeah.
No, it's not him.
Okay.
No, he was the one that lead-based paint. Talking about, we used to have lead-based paint in
Yeah.
our cribs.
Yeah.
No seatbelts, all that good stuff.
Funny enough, actually, the last thing, because I was watching the Stallions
It was
game.
McMillan.
And because I was watching the Stallions game yesterday, and then we went and did Mother's Day stuff when we came back and turned the TV on, and it was still on ABC, and American Idol was on. And Paige and I just had it on in the background for like 15 to 20 minutes, and she finally went, "What are we watching?" I said, "I think this is the new American Idol."
Bucky Covington.
Was it great? That was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Billy Currington.
I was thinking of Philip Phillips. I wasn't even thinking of Bucky, whoever.
And neither
Or
was
Rodney
I.
Carrington.
I was thinking of Philip Phillips.
All right, let's get to one quick phone call. 205-834-9450. Our buddy Burr wants to talk about the Stallions. Hey, Burr.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing great. Hope
Hey, Burr.
April had a wonderful Mother's Day.
Oh, man, we had an awesome time, guys. Been missing you guys. How quick do I need to make this phone call?
If you can keep it at a minute, that'd be great.
Okay, let me try that. First of all, Molly, I'm with you. The movie number 7 creeped me out. I haven't seen it since I watched it the first time. Secondly, Ruben Studdard, he was off of the American Idol hype. He's not pulling people now, so it's not going to help at all. Now, going to the Stallions. All right, I'm a big fan. You guys know it. But several things, okay, they're not the same as the 90 Stallions. They were professional players. This is just a minor league, so people are not going to be interested, all right? Next, I literally went to the first parade in the rain as a fan, and the players weren't even there. There's a disconnect. The players aren't here in town, so the fans don't even have a chance to actually see them. They play on the field, it's cool, but they're gone, so there's a disconnect, all right? Secondly, we're pro and college football invested down here, so by the time summer comes around, people have other things to do, Mother's Day, trips, and things of that nature. So there's just a lot that it has to work against, and I love it, but I just don't think it's going to be able to be successful like the other teams have. So I hope I got that in there in time.
You did.
See you guys tomorrow.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow at Social Taco. Thank you, Burr. Giddy up. We continue 3-man front here on this Reaction Monday on Jocks 94.5.
It is 11:49, Jock 94.5 on this Reaction Monday, 1-800-239-WJOX, 205-834-9450. Let's go to Roll Tide Rob. He joins the program, 1-800-239-WJOX. Hey, Rob.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
We're doing great. How are you?
All right. Oh, well, we're recovering. Thank y'all for all y'all's prayers, our backs and things like that. I was telling Conrad over the thing that I broke some ribs after I talked to y'all, but we're doing better. Lynn's had a little surgery on her back, but we're doing better.
Good.
Hey,
good. Happy to hear.
American Idol, can anybody say that Carrie Underwood hasn't been the most successful since she's made her debut on American Idol?
It's definitely Carrie Underwood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. All right. Going to the Stallions. Yeah, I'm not real sure, and y'all, I agree with everybody that has said things like, it's the advertising and things like that. I'm not real sure if they even want to succeed because their product that they put out on the field. I think they probably already made their investment. But here in the South, y'all, it's Mother's Day, and all these points have been made. In their church, there's Mother's Day, and then all of a sudden, we have NASCAR, we have golf, and I was flipping through all of them after church and lunch and things like that. It's just tough. It was tough to decide, on everything that I want to watch, and and then now I did like the Stallions coming back, and I did pay a little bit more attention to that. But I want to watch Justin Thomas win the daggum golf tournament as well, an Alabama guy. And then next week, we got, or Sunday, we had the PGA, and then we have the regions traditions going on. And then we have that. And it's just so much stuff going on. It's just tough for them to compete. And y'all are right. I know they don't really care about, and Pat, you said it before, they care about fannies in the seats, but there's going to be, because they care about who's watching on TV. But if they keep competing up against these big events, they're not going to get that either. Am I making a point here, or do y'all think that I'm crazy? And
No.
then my last couple points are, how about 14 softball girls in the top, and then 7 out of the top 8 in softball in SEC hosting sites.
It's really big.
Yeah.
Pat, do you think he's crazy for what he said about the Stallions and the UFL?
No, I mean, there have been some people, and this is all directed by television, of course, but
right.
I think that if the UFL moved the season back a little bit, that would avoid, especially in our market, certain things, whether it's Talladega, regions, A-Day,
or what used to be A-Day,
Mother's Day, certain type of events. The season starts a little bit later, perhaps, but I can't speak for the other markets. Why a city of 8 million people in Houston draws 100 people to a football game. I can't speak for Houston, but I can speak for this market, because I have done many, many shows about this topic in regards to Birmingham being the football capital of the South, and why the spring football has struggled at times to draw people in the stands. So that has been something that an individual could earn a dissertation and a doctorate if they were able to figure that out and present a study, because so many people have tried to come in here and do this, and it has not worked.
Right. Well, you and Paul Feinbaum, you helped Paul Feinbaum make the biggest show, the sports talk show in the world. So maybe people should start listening to you, Pat. I
don't know about that, but that's just my opinion.
Well, hey, quit being like that. You did a lot to do with it. And then also the SEC baseball coming up this next weekend is going to determine a whole lot. It's the final thing. on seeding. You know, you got LSU now the number one team in the country. They're going to South Carolina. They may get swept.
I don't know if there's a betting line on that, but I would love the action on LSU against South Carolina this weekend. That's just that's tough. But no, it should be a fun rest of the week. Rob, we always appreciate your call. Hopefully, you get to feeling better, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, we'll be fine. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Y'all
Rob.
take care.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for Old Tide, Rob. Let's go to Pelham Gator. Hey, PG.
Hey, guys. What's up? Beautiful afternoon. We got a break in the rain. Hey, Pat.
Yes.
I got somebody mentioned you yesterday. Knows you probably know him. His name's Kip. He wouldn't give me his last name, but he hangs out there where Don goes to the Ridge. And he knows Kerry Adams, too.
Oh, okay.
But,
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. He wishes you wouldn't pull for the St. Louis Cardinals. Hey, I think they're on a winning streak.
It's the one flaw that Pat has.
A couple of things. Yes, they've won 8 in a row. They have not lost since the Cardinals broke for conclave in Vatican City, and we're 8-0 since John Gruden spoke to the team.
I'll be darned. Look what all it takes is a little Chucky doing it.
Yep.
Hey, guys, I got to give a shout-out to the men's baseball, taking 2 out of 3 on the number one team at that time, Texas, and now we're on a hot streak, really. We may make it to the tournament.
You guys are trending. Yeah, what is Florida now, 35-18 overall?
And they're 13th in America. Remember about a month ago, we were talking about how bad the baseball program was.
No, that's a team, in my opinion, that's a team that should be in the NCAA tournament field. They're finding themselves at the right time.
And I want to give a shout-out to the lacrosse. They're in the Final 8, and I know Don talks about his sports. I also want to bring out that the overall softball teams are ranked a 3rd seed in the overall. And then I got to say something about Florida State and Auburn. Get ready, Don and FSU Dave. Y'all need to bet on the softball game. And poor Auburn ends back up in Tallahassee again, whether it's baseball or softball. Never fails. So we need to check that bet out, guys.
PG, thank you. We appreciate the phone call. Yeah, lacrosse championships. I think they're going to do those things with Foxborough. It's big. It's still something the NCAA is heavily involved in. We'll get some more of your phone calls, more texts, more news concerning the college football playoff, and much more. We're at halftime. 3-man front, Jocks, 94.5.
It is 12 noon. Welcome back in. This is Three Man Front, Jocks 94.5. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. Talked a lot about the Stallions today. They did win over the weekend, 33-25. That was a big win for the Stallions. Moved to 5-2 now in the USFL Conference. They'll take on St. Louis in St. Louis coming up Saturday at noon. The bigger story was 4,774 people showed up on Mother's Day at 11 o'clock, where we talked a good bit about that last week, that was going to be problematic. So Birmingham now averaging 8,413 on the season. That is sixth best in the 8-team league of the UFL. They've got one more home game. That's on May the 24th. That's a 2 o'clock kickoff versus Michigan. Braves took it on the chin over the weekend, losers of 2 of 3 to the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're back at home taking on the Washington Nationals for a 4-game series. You can hear that tonight on Jocks 94.5. Grant Holmes goes up against Jake Irvin for the Nationals. The Nationals took it on the chin this weekend to the Cardinals. They were swept over the weekend. Alabama baseball, they win 2 of 3 from the Georgia Bulldogs. The Auburn Tigers, now the number 2 team in America, according to Baseball America. They swept the South Carolina Gamecocks. That was a Thursday-Friday series. They played a doubleheader on Friday to try to get ahead of the rain. So it's pretty interesting that Auburn enters the last week of the regular season baseball-wise as the number 2 team in the RPI, the number 1 strength of schedule in all of college baseball. So it's pretty dominating how they have really taken the rest of the teams in the SEC to task here towards the end of the season. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line, also open 205-834-9450.
I don't know how I feel about this text. We appreciate you texting in. One of our listeners says, come on, guys. We're on our 5th string quarterback, and y'all want to troll the Stallions. On the field product? We have the same receivers, running back, and defenders, and even quarterbacks, and are still in first place. Just because it's not complete domination doesn't mean it's terrible. Let's be more positive, and you might receive a more positive outcome. We could not have been more positive about the Stallions. I said it. For me, I said the play was down across the league. And you're right. They are on their, 4th-string quarterback now? Well, Jamar, is he officially 4?
He's 5.
It's 5.
Or 5? Yeah.
Because you started with Magoo.
That's right.
And then from Magoo to Corral to Kukas, and then you had the I'm sorry, I can't remember the guy's name last week who went on the injured reserve.
That's right. Forgot about him.
Starts with a P, last name.
Peasley.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Jamar.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, Landrum, we were talking about, the league as a whole. If you just go and look, we talked about the quarterback play, right? All right, Jordan Teamu, who I think a lot of us will remember from Ole Miss, right? He's the quarterback for the Defenders. He's leading the league this year. He'll probably be the MVP. 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's completing 53% of his passes. Like, that's the best quarterback play you're getting in the UFL this year. And again, I'm not doing that to pick on him or any other players in particular, but it's just the quality of play at that position hasn't been great. He's the only quarterback with double-digit passing touchdowns this year. There's one. It's him. Just not a great.
Look at some of the completion percentages just from the quarterback position across the league.
It's not great.
You can't tell me that secondary play is that good.
The second leading passer in the UFL is Luis Perez, who we remember.
Oh, boy.
He's thrown for 1,400 yards, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That is the second leading passer in the UFL this year. Again, not trying to be hard on these guys, but it's just not. It's not there.
Who's Luis Perez playing for? Is that the Renegades?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
We saw him, and see, didn't even get him a win. Beat him at Protective Stadium. That was a crazy game. The Stallions team, they're full of drama, for sure.
Matt Corral is the 5th leading passer in the UFL, and he hasn't touched the field in a month.
Thank you.
Just saying.
This one says, $2 hot dogs and beer. I am there. Weather had been terrible for previous games. Yeah, and you had the threat of weather yesterday.
And as we discussed, the last
I'm not
home
making
game
it.
is
I don't feel
Memorial
like
Day.
we need to make any excuses. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and it was 11 a.m. kickoff.
I'm impressed they had as many people there as they did, honestly.
Yeah. Will says, speaking as a hunter, as much as I love turkey hunting, I'll enjoy other hunting seasons for a break. This is the same with me in football. As much as I love football, I need a break in the spring from it. Maybe move it to Tuesday nights in the fall. Sorry about Maction. Maction? What is this Maction you speak of?
There's one thought out there that perhaps by extending the season out a little bit in regards to not starting it so early after the Super Bowl, is that you give people an opportunity to start missing football.
Yes.
As opposed to, think about it, you get revved up for football in August, and then you just keep that calendar going. And like that texter just talked about, kind of need a little, just give me a little break.
So do we think there could be any benefit if you had a game or two during the season that was, let's say, on a Thursday night? Or do you think you're still going to run into the same conflicts of, oh, we got travel ball over here, we've got soccer practice over here, we've got small group over here? Or do you think maybe trying to move it into a midweek thing, would that help?
Television executives, the reason we're getting the games when we're getting them is that's what TV is dictating.
Yeah.
That's when they have the open windows. When WWE moved on Friday night to Netflix, they had an open window. That's why you're playing UFL games on a Friday night on Fox. So, I mean, they're not going to put it on any other day of the week.
Well, and I'm not going to speak for Birmingham, but some of these other markets, you've got a league that's now, if you want to do the combination of the merger, 4 years we've had this product. How many repeat customers are you getting through the turnstiles at your particular stadium? Because there's only a select number of people that was going to be your demographic that you were going to get butts, fannies in seats to come and watch this. How many of those folks have gone and enjoyed the product that they've seen and the experience that they've had?
That's a good point.
You're only going to get one shot with some of these people.
Absolutely.
So whether it was parking, concessions, weather, bad products, some of those people, they will still watch. They just will not spend their money to go and watch it. They will watch from the privacy of their own home or from a sports bar.
Well, and that's a good point, is I think a lot of your crowds every week are probably people going to their first game, right? Or this is their, all right, let's go try it out. And yeah, I mean, that's a very good point about how many people are
I've talked to dads that have kids and families that said, we needed to get out of the house. We went to the Stallions game. We had a good time. But they found a break in the action or a reason to go.
You're not working your schedule around the Stallions. Yeah.
This was the attendance last year for the Stallions. They had 12,265, 7,576, 14,056, 10,245, 7,133. That was their attendance. Now, I do remember that week 4 game last year. That was a horrible rain.
Weather.
That was really bad. So they averaged 10,255 people last year. The UFL as a whole averaged 12,828 last year as a league. Memphis was the worst last year. They averaged 6,893. This year, I think they're like at 4,000 per game. So last year, the largest attended game was 14,000. That was the Battlehawks game.
Mm-hmm.
The first game of the season was 12,265.
Thomas said, I've lived in Birmingham nearly 30 years. Have never understood why it's not Alabama or Auburn, and the city of Birmingham really struggles to support a franchise team. They usually do well for 1 to 2 seasons and support falls off. Birmingham does a great for one-off events like NCAA basketball tournament, the Champions Tour event, or NBA preseason games. Your thoughts? I think there's a lot of validity in what you just texted.
It's a very good point, actually.
That's why I brought it up earlier as the new kind of worn off now with this league, the novelty of it.
Well, a few years ago, this was supposed to be a local ownership. I'll never forget when we had Gene Holman on this program right when the USFL was launched. USFL, not UFL, USFL. The original business plan was to have local ownership within a couple of years, and there had already been and I'm not going to name names, but Landrum and I, we've had this conversation with numerous people. We know that Birmingham had a local group ready to be the owners of the franchise.
And those people would make a lot of sense to you.
Yes. And because of the merger between the UFL and the XFL, that completely changed the timeline of which that potentially was going to happen. And because of that, you're sitting here now, and they have invested in Arlington, which from a business standpoint makes sense. All the teams train there. There's where the housing is, things of that nature. But to expect people in Memphis and Birmingham to get 100% behind a product that literally flies in here and maybe only in town for 24 hours, it's a name only.
When we had Scooby Wright on the show, and he said one of his favorite things, he'd go to practice and then he'd go to the Finnick, Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, and he would listen to live music and have a beer and get a burger.
Yeah. And Alex Magoo told us the same thing. He and his girlfriend, they live downtown.
They immerse themselves in the city.
Yeah. And they loved it.
I talked to one of those people in particular with the ownership group, going back to that, and just happened to ask them last week, have you heard anything? Said not a peep.
Because at least a local ownership group, and I'm not talking about just because we're obviously the most listened to radio station in the state. We're the number one sports show in this part of the world.
Universe.
One of the top in the country. I'm not saying this from an advertising standpoint, just to be on our show or this station. But if you had local ownership group, they understand the value of doing radio interviews on Mac and Cube and our show, and doing interviews with local television, and being invested in the community. I think a lot of people understand it is what it is, which is, it says Birmingham Stallions on all the sweatshirts that you buy, but is it really Birmingham's team?
Heck, and maybe I missed it, but I don't drive through Birmingham and see Stallions billboards or things on the side of buildings telling me to go to Protective Stadium this weekend.
It's a lot better than it was last year, which was non-existent.
Yeah, and I agree with that, because I actually saw one this morning. It's right by the airport.
Okay.
As I'm coming in on 2059, there's a billboard telling you to buy tickets.
Maybe if they put one of those Stallions billboards right there in the parking lot of where people are going to get their star IDs. You stare at that for 5 hours.
Maybe they should let
subconsciously you end up at Protective Stadium.
Well, no, let's let you sign up at Protective Stadium for the star ID.
Ooh, there you go.
I like that. See,
that's a good idea, pal.
That was free.
Molly doesn't have to go though. She already got her star ID.
This is true.
Nope. Dave texting the show says Texas A&M was number 1 preseason baseball. Will probably not make the postseason tournament. FSU Dave, thank you. We'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, that's crazy. That's kind of like Florida State football last year. Oh no! Oh wait!
Ooh.
Oh wow!
That was good. That was good.
A side punch.
See,
Michael
he thought we
says-
weren't going to say that because you were ganging up on A&M, but pulled a fast one on him.
The Ajay Hall spring game in Alabama is the Robbie Ashford throw of spring games.
Hey, that one throw Robbie Ashford had in the Iron Bowl, man, that was a beautiful throw in the back of the end zone.
Pastor Stephen from Leeds asking if Molly's seen 7 yet. She says no.
Nope. I think Conrad told me about that movie last year.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
I don't know if I could do that one.
You don't actually see what's in the box. You just find out what's in the box.
This one rolls in. I heard Baby Ruth in reference to a movie and immediately thought you were talking about Caddyshack. Yeah, that was another one. Caddy Day at the pool. That was good. No, the Baby Ruth made its appearance in Goonies as well. How about this movie for Molly? Shaun of the Dead? With Simon Pegg?
Yeah, it's like a parody of Dawn of the Dead. It's It's made. It's like British.
Okay.
Okay.
It's fun. It's good. It's a really good movie. It's funny. Not too scary.
Add that to the list.
Not scary.
You guys crack me up. Molly can't watch horror movies because she doesn't like them. But hey, Conrad, stick this dead fish up your nose because he just loves that.
Yeah. More of that guy.
Conrad's got to get a better agent.
I do. I really do.
Looks like Belichick's girl didn't win the beauty pageant. Any ideas on whether she will try another publicity stunt to keep her name on social media? Hey, run again or compete again. Compete for something bigger.
Just go ahead and compete for Miss America. Just skip Miss Maine. We're gonna put you.
You can buy your way into one of these pageants.
You could buy the votes for this one. Remember, you had to pay. It was what, a minimum of five votes,
yeah.
but you could pay $1 per vote. Build and open up the pocketbook. That's the real story here.
I blame it on the talent competition.
I think they bought off the judges. But there was some collusion there in Maine.
Unicycling just doesn't do it for me like it used to.
Oh, and Jordan's doing the mermaid costume again. We haven't seen this routine before.
Mm-hmm. Now, unicycle in the mermaid outfit?
Impressive.
Now we have something.
That would be impressive.
We'll continue to take your texts and your phone calls. Reaction Monday. This is Jocks 94.5. It's 12:20, Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. Now is the time to check out Courtesy GMC and Trustful. The very best in inventory and services found right off of I-459 exit 32 at Courtesy GMC. Over 9 acres of inventory for you to choose from. Courtesy is there to help you discover the perfect fit for your next vehicle, whether it's advanced safety features or cutting-edge technology. Courtesy and their friendly sales staff is ready to guide you towards their ideal choice for the future. Right now, you could save up to $14,500 off a brand new Sierra $1,500 truck. How about the 2024 GMC Hummer EV, the Sierra EV models, 0% APR for 60 months for well-qualified buyers. Josh Gargis, Drew Lally, fantastic team out there, whether it's Richard Gullidge, the new vehicle manager, Robert DeRamus, the pre-owned vehicle manager, Larry Forte over in service, Body Shop Brian Sivley, Tommy Rowan, internet director. You can get the point. It's a family atmosphere. They can help you today at Courtesy GMC. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. They're in person off of exit 32 in Trustful off of I-459.
We do have more texts. We can get to those texts on the Jocks text line 205-834-9450. Not only Stallions UFL, but also some college baseball and other things mixed in. Suggestion for the Stallions: have regional college players make up the UFL rosters. Imagine A.J. McCarron throwing touchdowns in Birmingham or Reuben Foster headhunting here. Give fans recognizable names to root for. They used to do that. Not as many now. Plus, with college football and the NIL, how many of those guys would have potentially tried to make NFL rosters, didn't make NFL rosters, signed a pre-agent deal, got cut, and then would have ended up on these rosters? Some of those guys, so we're just kind of delaying the assembly line.
See, I just wonder, all right, if Jared Stidham is the quarterback of the Stallions this year, does that?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember back at the previous franchises. The original Birmingham Stallions, you had Joey Jones, who played at Alabama, outstanding wide receiver.
Joe Cribbs, outstanding Auburn running back. Your quarterback was someone that ended up going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had no local ties. You had Jay Barker. He was hurt, but he was on the roster for the Birmingham Thunderbolts in the original XFL. The Canadian Football League team, they had, I think, a former Louisiana Tech quarterback. I met that guy for the Paracutas.
Dunnigan. His name was Dunnigan.
Yeah. He was a nice guy.
I'm trying to think of the other failed attempts. I don't remember any Alabama or Auburn quarterbacks getting an opportunity.
I don't either. Now, if he was still playing, if it had just happened where he had not made a NFL squad, a Johnny Manziel, that would sell tickets. Now, they did try it there with, was it the Showboats?
Oh,
Johnny Manziel?
Yeah, he did. I forgot about that.
That was the original, it was before the merger, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did do that.
Shedeur Sanders, I would sell tickets.
Absolutely.
John says Kelly Clarkson would be the most successful for American Idol. Yep. Wait. You think so?
Well,
more than Carrie Underwood?
She has her own show.
I was about to say, she has her own talk show.
Let's slow down.
When I think of American Idol winners, from a musical standpoint, Carrie Underwood's the one I think of as the most successful. But yeah, I guess Kelly Clarkson does have.
She does.
Her own show. I've never watched it, but I'm sure it's great.
I bet it's fun. I bet they talk about real world stuff.
It's hard-hitting news.
Yeah.
That's where I get all my opinions from. The Kelly
Fast,
Clarkson
fun
show.
snacks to make for your kids this summer. On the next Kelly Clarkson. What do they call it?
The Kelly Clarkson show. Didn't take a lot of time to come up with that name.
Really creative. Jimmy texts in another series lost by the Tennessee Volunteers, another bench clearing fracas. Those guys and their coach must be low on the learning curve because of all the chirping they do. Sure ain't helping their infield defense. I was watching the video. In case you missed it, another brouhaha. No punches were exchanged with Tennessee after Vanderbilt beat them on their home field. Right?
Did it not just I didn't see anything physical, but did it not just look like the Tennessee players were just
Tennessee player was
talking
upset.
crap for
he was upset, and then he said something. Vanderbilt was going to shake hands, and then it drew a reaction from one of the Vanderbilt players, and then all of a sudden it was best thing for a Vanderbilt player to say in that situation would be, "We've already beat you once."
Yeah, that is a baseball team that is crumbling right now because it wasn't that long ago they were the number one team in the country.
Conrad needs to get out more. I can count 5 billboards around the Birmingham area. Matt, all over Birmingham.
No, and y'all corrected me, and I was wrong on that one.
David said BJCC screwed up in week 1 in 2022. There was 25,000 that showed up, and they had staffed it for 5,000. Long lines of concession, ran out of beer, turned a lot of people off, remembering Moose doing damage control the following morning on your show.
Forgot about the first
Some
game,
people, you're only going to get an opportunity once. So at least don't make it a miserable experience.
Yeah, I remember people were very upset after that first game.
Richard, Pat Smith, all caps. Hey, Richard. You said everything that needs to be said about the importance of local ownership group for the Birmingham Stallions. This text, are the lines still long as hell for the Star ID? I don't know if they are or not. I know they were. There was a mad rush for everybody to go and get them.
Surely they're better now, right? Because the deadline's passed, so I don't know.
With the Star ID, does it read out horizontally, or do we have to have the youngin, like the vertical? I don't know. Don't care. I guess I'll find out when I get it.
Yeah, it's just the same ID with a
it's
star
the
on it,
same.
right?
Mhm.
Or if you have a new passport, that also will get you taken care of.
Mm-mm. I've got a guy.
You got a passport guy?
No, just a guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Takes me a while to get there, but cargo ship,
Gotcha.
air conditioned container. Daniel says it's very hard for fans to get invested in the UFL due to any lack of national media coverage. Some local stations like Jocks do a decent job, but the UFL is almost avoided by the major sports media outlets.
I will take a little bit of disagreement to that. I know Fox 6 and Channel 13, they both cover it. I know Ariel Schaefer over at Channel 42, she posts all the time on social media the post-game stuff with Skip Holtz. I think local does as good a job as they have with any of the other teams we've had.
Yeah, I think they're maybe talking about like you're not going to turn on ESPN and see UFL highlights or something.
Well, actually, you do. And the reason why is because they're a partner. I mean, ESPN, I saw it on SportsCenter.
They have it on SVP does. He will cover the UFL stuff.
I mean, my goodness. Yesterday they had what's her name? Dolan,
Aaron Dolan.
Yeah, the betting expert. She's doing now cut-ins in the middle of the UFL game, giving betting advice, pushing you to go to ESPN Bet.
Mm-hmm.
Is she persuasive? Pat? Oh, I mean, I was just, it's out for everybody. Mike says, wait, did Landrum just say you have to have a Star ID to go to a Stallions game? I'm out then. Did not say that.
No, but Pat did have the great idea of letting you sign up for your Star ID if you go to a Stallions game.
Ryan says, get an appointment for Star ID and you will pass all the line, goes straight to chairs for appointments. It's super fast. Kind of like you would with a fast pass.
Where are these appointments? Is he recommending that they take appointments? Or
No,
do they
he
do
said
that
you
now?
can get an appointment. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, at the DMV. Oh, you
yeah,
can?
and I heard that from somebody last week too. Go in and get an appointment.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. I didn't know you could do that at the DMV.
I didn't
I thought
either.
you just had to wait.
South Carolina baseball probably has buyer's remorse, canning Mark Kingston for Paul Maneri. It has not gone swimmingly in year one for Paul Maneri, former LSU baseball coach, and Notre Dame?
Mm-hmm.
It was a $5 million buyout?
Yikes.
They would play Florida in day one of the SEC tournament.
So you asked the question last week, do you think Missouri's booking a hotel now after the sweep of A&M?
Heck yeah. They're getting one for the whole week.
They fired up now?
They're ready to go.
Jim from Trustful. Pat Landrum. I'm pretty sure this wouldn't be possible, but if the Stallions could get Saban involved, he could come to the game for a coin flip or a game analysis. That'd be a sellout game.
That is an interesting prospect because he is paid by ESPN.
That's a good point.
Where he could come to a game and sit in the booth for a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't know how many people are going to take time out of their...
Sign some autographs on the mezzanine level.
That would probably help, yes. Autograph
As I say, you would need something like that because I remember... was it Bo Scarborough, the game that we went where he was signing autographs and there was a lengthy line of people wanting their Alabama stuff signed?
Josh says, guys, the solution is easy. Zach Calzada, Stallions quarterback, game changer. I was thinking Tyler Buckner.
I was thinking TJ Finley.
Ooh. And during lineups, they announce him and he comes out on the moped.
TJ Finley might get me to go to another Stallions game just to watch him play.
Well, the Stallions are on their fifth quarterback, so you never know.
If he'd hurry up and finish his eligibility, Diego Pavi is going to be great.
Ooh. That would be must-watch.
Would that sell some tickets?
Yeah.
I think that would sell some tickets.
Starting quarterback for the Stallions next year, the over-under of Jalen Milroe.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
He would save the franchise.
That would get some eyeballs off the team, probably.
Quinn,
I don't know. He might be pretty good in the UFL. I don't know.
Quinn, are yours in the UFL, or do you think retirement for Quinn? How many of these other guys, though, this is something serious to think about. Now with the NIL deals that certain quarterbacks, let's just keep it at quarterbacks, are getting now. How many decide just to hang it up? They don't want to play anymore for $62,000 a year if they get cut by an NFL team. You know what? It's cool. I got a $7 million conservatively invested nest egg. I'm good with football.
Or guys that maybe previously would have said, yeah, I'll go play in the UFL, but now they can come back for that last year of college and make $500,000 to go be a group of five quarterback.
Jamar Smith was working at a Dunkin' Donuts.
That's right.
He did not have the ability to have the lucrative NIL contracts back in his playing days at Louisiana Tech. Big difference. 205-834-9450. We continue here on a Reaction Monday, three-man fronts and Jocks 94.5.
We know Bill Belichick's girlfriend, she had dreams, Landrum. Last year, she was first runner-up of Miss Maine.
Yep.
This year, she finishes second runner-up. In other words, third place.
I think it's all these other things that are taking time away from her normal routine of getting ready for one of these pageants.
Oh, because she's the CEO of Bill Belichick Productions?
Kind of a big deal, Pat.
Trying to run a college football dynasty.
Yeah. Trying to help your mom with the branding of the museum. The message that you want to convey.
I cannot wait for
to John
Conrad
and Sally
to wear
Q Public
his P-Town t-shirt.
Well, Angel got it for me from the gift shop, so it's very authentic.
You like the keychain I got you?
Yeah, it's the I Survived P-Town shirt.
Heard it smelled funny. Is that true?
What, the keychain?
No, the t-shirt.
Well, they said it was freshly washed, but
smelled like incense and
just a
other.
little
You know what I found out
Had
this weekend?
glitter on it.
I've been to P-Town, apparently. I just didn't remember.
Really?
Wait, what?
Yeah, because I was like 5 or 6. I was really young, but
Eros was not there.
it probably wasn't.
Mm-mm.
Don't remember it. But I have been to P-Town.
How did that come up in a family conversation of the week?
Oh, no, my mom was listening to the show, and she was like, by the way, like, we've been there.
I think you guys
Like,
should
what?
go back to P-Town. You could be boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I go back.
Yep.
I like the Cape.
Live remote from P-Town.
Live from P-Town. The top level of Eros.
So Shelby Powell of Bangor, Maine won the contest. She will now represent the state of Maine in the Miss USA contest. Now, Hudson, she tried to hook the judges during the pageant by leaning into her local Maine maritime roots. At one point, she was sporting a red lobster-shaped clutch embroidered with Save Maine Fishermen in a nod to her father's former career. She fondly recalled childhood fishing with her father during the question and answer phase and said that if crowned, she would use her platform to preserve the struggling local industry.
Oh, I thought she was going to say to help recruiting at North Carolina.
Now, she did win some sort of consolation prize. She was named the recipient of the Most Stylish Award.
No.
Bill's happy with that.
That's money.
But I want to take you back to Friday because ESPN podcast host Pablo Torre revealed interviews with 11 sources close to Belichick's family to detail the controversial relationship between North Carolina coach and Hudson, including claims she had been banned from university facilities. Now, Pablo went on the Dan Patrick Show on Friday afternoon, and this is what he had to say when Dan Patrick asked him, so what do you think, Pablo, is next in this story?
I think you're going to see people push back on the reporting out of North Carolina that I've said, which is that there was a power struggle in which the adults had to intervene. I think there will be disagreement about that. And I think that what is happening to my phone will continue to happen, which is that it will continue to melt. I signed up for this. I get it. Aggregation interviews like this are all great. I hope people listen to the episode. But I can tell you that everybody who's dealt with Jordan Hudson, and one person said, quote, she is the worst person I've ever dealt with on earth, and I have dealt with actual sociopaths. I'm not saying that that is everybody. I'm just saying this story, Dan, is extreme, and there's a lot, including injectable erectile dysfunction drugs, as just a brief tease for what else we had to find out.
Oh, just kind of drop that towards the end of the interview about ED drugs.
Something tells me that character and personality, she might have gotten dinged in those two. They're a part of Miss Maine. Interview, swimsuit, and evening gown. And then they're judged on character, poise, confidence, and personality. There is no talent competition.
But go back to what Pablo just said.
Yeah.
That sociopath.
She's the worst person I've ever dealt with.
And then he throws out the idea in the conversation about ED drugs.
What was that about the ED drugs? The injectable?
I was about to say, does Bill not understand those are like tablets? Can't imagine you would
Or
opt for the injection route. But, I don't
but
know.
is injectable? Is it more than? Is it like?
I think
It's instant.
I think he was referring to injecting the ED conversation into the controversy.
I definitely took it a different way. You're
No.
probably
Yeah,
right.
I was thinking prolonged. Like you get the 6-month shot.
It's like a little chip.
Yeah, wear your sweatpants. I don't know. Something. That'd be tough.
Hey, I like that he's standing by the reporting, though, because, I mean, people were so quick to completely discredit it, and we read the statement from North Carolina, but
No, he got legit information, and a phone call was made.
Yep. And now they're trying to cover it up.
Did you see the video of him driving her away from Miss Maine?
No, I just saw the video of him and, I guess, his future father-in-law.
Do you think to
Hanging out.
Do you think to cheer her up, Bill took her to McDonald's, got her a Happy Meal?
Probably.
Yeah.
Took her to Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah.
They played in the ball pit.
I think somebody deserves a new American Girl doll. You get 5 of them.
I tell you what, to cheer you up, I'm going to take you to this museum in P-Town.
Yep. You tell me if you see anything you like, or if it makes you want to pour a slab of concrete. Because that's what a lot of that stuff looks like. Did it not? 205-834-9450. J Matt. Are you sure it's J Matt and not J Mar? Is this the quarterback for the Stallions? Oh, man.
Nah, I wish. It's MAP, M-A-P, man.
Hey, Matt. What's up?
How's it going? I just want to say, man, as far as the UFL goes, I don't think anybody down here wants to admit it, but I think it's starting to be football fatigue. I mean, we got football all year round now. I mean, as soon as UFL is over, we going to NFL preseason, and then college football is going to start. I mean, at some point, you don't want to see football all year round. Me personally, that's how I feel. So
listen, I think those are extremely valid concerns, what you just said. Because think about it. College football now, they've tried to keep relatively the same calendar over the course of the college football playoff, but now you have more games. So as opposed to just having the month of December with a bunch of bowl games, now you have college football playoff games. And so there's more interest in that. And then when the national championship game is over with, I think a lot of people like to kind of chill out for the next couple of weeks.
Well, not only that, but Matt, you think about during the college football season, we get really, really excited for those first few games, and we stay excited, and we stay excited for the marquee matchups. But once you've seen it, how dialed in are you for a Week 9 game where Georgia takes on Mercer? You're not.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do
that.
with just the product you're getting in some instances.
That too. And real quick also, I think Belichick's girlfriend is the one with the ED problem. She's earning daily. Killing it.
Boom.
I don't care
That's
what you
great. That is good. That's really good.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Yep.
Earning daily.
They say if you marry for money, what is it? You never have to work harder in your life, or I don't know. You shouldn't marry for money, I think, is the whole moral of the story. But she's not married.
Not yet.
Yeah, she's getting all the milk for free and doesn't have to buy the cow.
I just wonder if, is she the kind of girl that every morning she wakes up and she just kind of like leaves subtle hints for Bill about a ring, So that time, Bill, maybe before the season starts, we can just go ahead and get the ceremony out of the way. She's just trying to rush this thing along.
I hope we get it. I hope we get that wedding.
Would Bill make her sign a prenup?
I don't know. But do you guys think that the family would be invited to the wedding, or they just go and get it done?
Oh, this would be you're just going to go and run off somewhere and get married, I would think.
Do it at the museum?
Or the lovely Maine courthouse. You could have the reception at P-Town.
Something tells me she might not be back to Maine for a while.
She just owns Maine.
No, I just think that she kept that avenue open.
Just in
I'm
case.
with you.
Yeah, I think Miss Hancock County might be looking at Miss Chapel Hill next year.
So how many? Ooh.
Hmm.
I just wonder. So I just wonder if it's one of those things. Can you just enter it? I don't know. Like, is there you can only enter it 2 or 3 times, or you can enter it indefinitely? Is there rules on pageants and how many times you can try to win? Because
What's the age limit?
I don't know if there is an age limit.
just saying, she's regressing. She went from 2nd place to 3rd place. Do you really want to get 4th place next year, George?
Do you think she hangs up her beauty competition?
Well, she's part of the senior circuit now. She's 24. It's like the Legends Tour. More 3-man front on this.
You have less
reaction Monday.
categories that you have to compete in.
Yeah, just
They-
one.
They abbreviate the competition.
Yeah, you just have to be breathing.
That's good.
More 3-man front, Jocks 94.5.
$12.51 recommendations coming in for Jordan Hudson. Her failed pageant attempt. Second time she struck out at capturing the elusive Miss Maine title. Last year, runner-up. This year, second runner-up. 205-834-9450. Here's a great suggestion. Maybe a kissing booth staffed with Jordan at the Stallions game would boost attendance. Conrad, kissing booth?
I'm not trying to kiss someone after Bill Belichick. Sorry.
You know, really?
No, I'm good.
You don't want to get some of the seconds of the greatest of all time?
Is that some of that leftover strawberry lobster I taste? It's a very beautiful design. She worked really hard on that.
Is that butterscotch? Jason texted in, Jordan Hudson's got that 3-year plan, like on the movie Big Daddy. Yeah. We wasted the good surprise on you.
Yeah.
Wrong, Conrad. This woman is going to have everything documented and for sale. It'll be a big video process. Question from the state of North Carolina. Would Kentucky fire Mark Stoops mid-season if he's 2-3 out for the Georgia game with losses to Ole Miss at home, South Carolina on the road, and Georgia on the road?
No, because you're not expecting to win those games anyways.
Without reviewing his contract, it is heavily slanted towards Mark Stoops. I would think that without creating more chaos, you just make that decision, hey, you're going to hang it up at the end of the year. Jake says, just get GMAC back in game shape. Have him out there as quarterback, and attendance would pick right up. Yeah, something tells me Greg's going to say no to that. But not a bad suggestion. Right. Well, not only with the current gigs that he has, but just body shape. I think it would take a minute maybe to get. Of course, Jamar Smith, he was working at Dunkin' Donuts.
That's a good point.
Daniel says, go look at the articles on ESPN that are posted for the UFL versus any, in all caps, other sport. Talking about the promotion.
Well, I mean, to be fair to ESPN, right, they're don't think the UFL's grabbing a lot of headlines for them or driving a lot of traffic to their website.
Most successful contestant on American Idol to go on and have the most success. Somebody said Kelly Clarkson, while she does have a show, that honestly, daytime TV, that doesn't really mean anything. But anyways, you look at some of the other people that have hosted shows.
Yeah.
Posey says net worth, Carrie Underwood, $130 million. Kelly Clarkson, $35.
There you go.
There you go.
Does Carrie Underwood still make music? You also got to think she's probably making a killing right now off of, or has made a killing off of the football theme song.
Yeah.
Probably help her out for a very long time.
You guys think they need to add a fourth referee in college and pro basketball? Where would he go? Where would he be?
Too many fouls called now with 3.
So he'd be the backcourt official? You got baseline, you got...
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a big topic of conversation? And
I haven't heard it.
I'm not sure.
I would say no. I think 3 is a really good number. Jody says, I remember the first Birmingham Fire game against Montreal in the WLAF, World League of American Football. Drew 50,000 at Legion Field. That league had lots of good marketing, is supported by the NFL, I believe. Yes, that is correct.
Yep.
Oh. Chuck says, giddy up, dunking booth with a white T-shirt. Thanks, Jordan. You do that on Thursday. When they bring Thursday games in. That's the crowd you're looking for.
Right. Yeah.
You're not looking
Absolutely.
for the, hey, brought the family. Some of the dads would take kids there. They would just act like they didn't know. Shame on you. Jerry from Hayden says, I know for a fact, Conrad, that Hayden girls dip skull and you kiss them. LOL. Is this true, Conrad?
Yeah.
Did you swap skull?
Yeah.
You got to go with the pouches. Less messy.
It is 1 o'clock. Jocks 94.5 on this Reaction Monday. 1-800-239-WJOX. The courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450.
Our friends at Mystic Beverage want to remind you, as I've just finished off one of my lifts, that you can find them at the local Piggly Wiggly. I enjoyed the lift this weekend, whether it was Saturday or yesterday, late in the afternoon, and doing some much-needed yard work. Mystic Beverage, sparkling water infused with various cannabinoids for relaxation and focus. The Lift Blend is the one that I turn to the most. It's got the CBD, the CBG, the Delta 9, but it's also got the green coffee bean extract. It's going to boost both your mind and your body and pick you up when you need it the most. Also, the Nirvonic 25 milligram Delta 8 for the smooth, calming experience. The High Hills Delta 9, or you can try the Broadway, the broad spectrum CBD with the Delta 9 for a comprehensive wellness boost. It's a great alternative to alcohol. You can enjoy a refreshing, hangover-free drink, and it is all sourced here locally from Blount County, Alabama. MysticBeverage.com is the website. Check out all you need to know about those great folks, and you can find them at your local Pig.
So rookie camps are going on in the NFL as we speak. Shedeur Sanders, from all indications so far, folks have liked what they've seen from Shedeur Sanders. He had an opportunity to meet with the media, and he was asked straight up, How did you feel that the President of the United States was in your corner during draft night?
Oh, no, I was truly thankful. Including him, there was a lot of fans, a lot of people in barbershops, a lot of hairstylists. There was a lot of just fans, of me and of my craft and of my family that was there to support. So I was just thankful that I have that foundation overall, just as people, and we all could come together as one.
How about that? So he was pretty enamored by the fact that President Trump went on social media, went to his defense.
Yep. I hope it goes well for Shedeur.
Him and Quinshawn and Dylan Sampson seem to be getting along, doing the little watch celebration out there together. Bonding, team bonding, chemistry.
The watch celebration.
Well, it was just funny because people were, oh my gosh, Dylan Gabriel's going to be upset because they were doing a team photo with Quinshawn and Dylan Sampson and Shedeur and Dylan Gabriel, and they were all doing the watch thing, and Dylan Gabriel was just over there by himself. The players have spoken, Pat. Shedeur's the guy.
It would not shock me
No.
based on what they have in that quarterback room.
No.
Goes without saying. Like, okay, not a problem. One of the topics that we discussed a great deal on Friday, news started coming out that the 4 power conference commissioners held an in-person meeting in New York on Thursday night. They discussed several issues, including a future format. The Big Ten and the SEC, which controls the future format, continue to favor multiple automatic qualifiers for their conference. So that was the 3-man front Twitter poll question of the day today, Molly, and it had to do with what it potentially could look like in one aspect that we had a lot of listeners chime in on Friday.
Yeah, do you like a proposed end-of-the-season play-in games for the college football playoff, which would pit the third-place SEC team against the sixth-place team and the fourth versus the fifth? Yes, that's a great plan, or no, that's a stupid idea. And right now, winning is no, with about 71%.
Wow.
Yes, at 29.
That is pretty overwhelming. Nobody likes the idea, Conrad, of having these play-in games. 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
Well, so, and we talked about this a lot last week, like you said, and we talked about this morning on Morning Jocks. And I do think this was a good point that Greg actually texted us while we were doing the show. And it's when you look at the play-in games, the reality is the 2 winners are going to get in, and most likely whoever the 3 or the highest seeded team to lose, they're going to get an at-large bid, right? So potentially you're going to have one SEC team that misses out because of the play-in style games. And I understand, right? If you have multiple years where the 3 and the 4 seed are getting upset in that matchup and you feel like you got robbed, people are going to be upset. But I don't know. I guess from the dramatic standpoint, right, of including or considering the interest of making those games important, I understand that part of it. But I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you, right, if Alabama's a 3 seed one year and they get knocked out because they lose to a 6 seed and they find themselves out of the playoff, I'm not going to be happy about that, because I'm going to say, then why did we just play a 12-game schedule, maybe even a 9-game SEC schedule to play this out? And now you're telling me that's not good enough. And
then is there a particular, and it would happen eventually, where you had a rematch of the regular season game, where your team, in this case Alabama, won and 6 seed did not, but 6 seed gets another crack at them.
Yeah. Tiebreaker. Another play-in game.
I think with the added, if we go to 9 SEC games, it played out in the race for the college football playoff this year. There's plenty of compelling games. And even ones that you look at on the schedule and you say that's not compelling. Just ask Conrad sitting in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yep.
So here's the thing. They are trying to maintain relevancy for the SEC championship game.
Yep.
And the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to have the 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way. Because if not, you're going to have all the belly aching you had this last year with Lane Kiffin and everybody else. Like, why do we need to go play the SEC championship game when we know that we're one of the 4 best teams? Mm-hmm. We don't need to go play.
Are they going to do the same for basketball?
Well, and I mean, if you looked at it like last year, for example, did we need to see, in the Big Ten, did you need to see Indiana versus Iowa in a play-in game? No. I get it's another game that's on TV, right? You're going to make more money off of it, but anybody need to see that or want to see that to determine who's going to get in the playoff? No.
No, but we all know that the television networks, they're buying this.
Yes.
They're paying for this.
Now,
so you're going to have it, or you're going to lose a lot of money by not having an SEC championship game. So you're going to have to take and play these other games. That's,
And the SEC championship, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I agree with, you've got a 9-game season. I mean, that's a pretty good indicator of where you are in regards to whether you're worthy of being one of your top 4 teams. But if it was not a conversation of saving these championship games, then that's the way it would be done.
Yeah.
But moving forward, that is the only way to make them still relevant, or you'll have people basically opting out of the championship.
On the flip side of me, what I said about having a rematch in some fan bases, who would not have liked to have seen South Carolina have a rematch with Alabama if that was a scenario this past season? Or
an LSU and
I
South
think
Carolina
that Ole Miss is
rematch or
playing the best college football of any team in the country right now. Ole Miss would be that team. Who wouldn't have wanted to see Ole Miss have a – so it's – you can see it from both.
Yeah.
You're going to get people belly aching regardless.
But who wins yet again in this situation?
TV.
And Notre Dame.
Well, and Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame doesn't have to worry about this, right? Yeah, sweet. Y'all want to go play another game, beat yourselves up some more before we get to play you? Absolutely.
But the scenario that you just mentioned, because the Big Ten is going to be involved in this. All these conferences are going to be involved in these playing games.
You're telling me you want the 6th best Big 12 team to have a chance to win a national championship?
Well, maybe not those 2 conferences, because they're going to get only 2 automatic qualifiers.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So you're going to take your the 2 teams that's playing in the conference championship game, they will punch their ticket. But if you're the SEC and the Big Ten, you possibly could get a Nebraska versus Iowa.
Woo!
Well, that's like this year. Iowa was 6th in the Big Ten. Iowa would have realistically had a chance to compete for a national championship. And I think we all could agree that based on what you saw from them in the regular season, they had no right being in that conversation. But money wins.
And it's more games, and you're not penalizing the 2 teams that are playing in the conference championship game. You're actually going to penalize the other teams that are vying as well.
I think if you are a general college football fan and you don't have like you don't just love your team and support them, you're just a general fan, I think this is great for you, right? From an entertainment standpoint, this would be great. But for the people like us who you probably have a lifelong fandom for one program, and if you can see this for what it is, it might sound fun, but when it negatively impacts your program, then people are not going to be happy.
Any way that we could do a triple header Saturday, there's no way. Or a double header Saturday, do it. Could you do it there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium where you had the 3 versus the 6?
Oh, the playing games, and then like right after that, you have the SEC
4 versus the 5.
Yeah.
You couldn't do it all in one day. And plus, you would have other conference championship games going on at that time. So have kind of a
2 on Friday, championship on
standalone.
Saturday?
Yeah. We're good with Friday night college football, as it turns out.
I'd love that.
A lot of people watch Indiana and Notre Dame.
Good point.
Well, Royal Payne tweets in. He said, "Is it just me, or does expanding the playoff and getting a 16-team SEC and an 18-team Big Ten mean that we should go back to divisions? Have a 4-team mini playoff for each conference based on divisions. They got rid of divisions at the time that they could actually be useful."
I don't trust divisions. I don't trust other conferences to set up their divisions. And with divisions, it runs in cycles. And the team from the East, whether it be Florida or Georgia in some of those years, they benefited from the rest of their division just absolutely sucking.
Yeah, you would have to shuffle it. I still wouldn't be in favor of it, but you'd have to shuffle them around.
Yeah. No, I like what let's not go back to divisions.
No. Nope. You get to play everybody on a 4-year cycle. You get to play them at your place and away.
And every 2 years, you get a chance to correct whatever people have been belly aching for the previous 2.
Yes.
You flip it.
Yeah, I don't want the divisions back.
No. I want Texas to have a gauntlet of a schedule. When are they going to get dealt that hand?
Hopefully next year.
Experience the true SEC.
Yep.
Because your brethren from the Big 12 that you came over with in Oklahoma, they got absolutely, what'd. Barfed on.
Yep.
So speaking of the potential SEC schedule, I want to remind everyone that this has been published by numerous sources when we were discussing the 9-team SEC format. Each team would play 3 annual opponents every year. The other games would rotate through the other 12 on essentially a biannual basis. 2 years ago, back when the 9-game schedule was discussed, the SEC office came up with 3 potential annual opponents for each opponent, and that was based on a decades-long data. I'll never forget you and I were doing a show out at Barber's. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the discussion was fascinating, to say the very least. For Alabama, Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee would be the 3 teams that they would play every single year. And you remember Nick Saban bitched and complained about it.
He did.
He said that's just, it's not right, based on the fact that he saw that Tennessee was about to become the Tennessee that they are now, making the college football playoff. Auburn would play Alabama, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. That's who their 3 games would be every single year. And then everybody else would be on a rotation basis. Georgia would play Auburn, Florida, Kentucky. You would have Ole Miss playing Arkansas, LSU, and Mississippi State. Tennessee would play Alabama, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. Texas would play Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M. I'm just looking down the list here. Oklahoma would play Florida, Missouri, Texas. LSU, Alabama, Ole Miss, Texas A&M. So does that give you heartburn based on what you heard from Alabama and Auburn?
No.
That might be heartburn for Conrad because you're playing Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee.
Bring it on.
Every single year.
You expect it.
That's right. I'm used to it. Which I understand, again, for the, competition's sake. Yeah, you don't want it to be that stacked against you, but you also, you've been doing it for decades now.
Now, keep this in mind. This came out 2 years ago. So the SEC could run the data based on the last 2 years and include that in 8 years prior, and it might change.
Yeah.
Whereas Alabama might not play Tennessee.
I don't know if I'd rather play Tennessee or Vanderbilt.
Vandy's got the better quarterback.
I'd rather play.
So for you being a young Alabama fan,
yeah,
who would be the 3 that you would want to see every single year? The rivalry games.
It would be Auburn, Tennessee, and LSU.
Okay.
Yeah. Auburn, Tennessee, LSU.
Absolutely.
Now, Auburn
And if
fans
you
would
wanted
be
to
a little
throw-
bit split on that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, or I would not be upset if you wanted to switch out. I think Auburn and Tennessee are non-negotiables, LSU or Georgia. I would be fine with either one of those.
So Auburn's 3 would be Alabama, Georgia, Vanderbilt.
I would take Vanderbilt out, and I would add Florida. In a perfect world.
That's a good one. Yep.
Amen corner.
Florida's got Georgia, Oklahoma, South Carolina.
Okay.
I'm so glad that we got a break from going through these potential, like the wormholes that we went down with some of these scenarios and trying to find the perfect 3-game annual for every team. It's impossible.
Oh, yeah. Somebody's going to be upset.
It's impossible.
Vandy would get Auburn, Missouri, Tennessee. A&M would get LSU, Mississippi State, Texas.
Really? Mississippi State over Arkansas. Interesting.
Arkansas would get Mizzou, Ole Miss, Texas.
And who would Ole Miss get? LSU, Mississippi State.
Arkansas, LSU, Mississippi State.
Okay. What I'm problem with
You'll
that.
take that one.
What is Florida?
Florida's Georgia, Oklahoma, South Carolina.
Okay. Makes sense.
Plus, I think Ole Miss is the big winner in that one.
But with the play-in games, you have an opportunity in certain years to play that team that your heart desires.
Absolutely. And who knows? Maybe there will be a year where the play-ins for the SEC really don't matter because they're just that stacked and all 6 teams are going to get it anyways. I don't think that's, probably going to happen very often, but maybe that does happen once in a while.
A lot of mixed reviews coming in on the text line.
We will get to your texts and your phone calls as well. This is Reaction Monday, Jocks 94.5. It is 1:20, Jocks 94.5. A reminder, we will be live at Social Taco tomorrow beginning at 10 a.m. Doors will open up at 11. Located on the Taco Terrace on the second level there at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. We'll be there until 2 o'clock.
205-834-9450. We will get back to the potential schedule formats for the SEC and maybe the rest of college football. Also, you can phone in the old-fashioned way. 800-239-WJOX is our buddy Hastings has done. Hey, Hastings, how are you?
Good, man. Better after I heard a little bit of Steve Miller Band. Let's go.
Yeah.
A little intro in right there. But by the way, American Idol, after hearing what Carrie Underwood made for the Sunday night football thing, I think she's totally won the top spot as far as anybody goes. Was that like one day and she makes $17 million? I think she's got, it's probably more than what Kelly Clarkson makes in the entire run of her show. So yeah, I'm going to go with Carrie Underwood on that.
She's the GOAT of American Idol is what you're saying.
She is, no doubt.
I agree.
Doubt. She's got 2 black Cadillacs, that's for sure. Hey, so with the college football thing, with like, you talk about taking away value from the SEC championship game. The only teams that had value in that is because Texas. The only reason it had value last year is because Texas was in it. And so I think you had Georgia and Texas, and what really made it compelling was old guard, new guard, and people wanted to see who would come out on top, which made for an exciting, amazing game. But are you telling me that Kirby Smart would want to play that game now, knowing what unfolded towards the end there with Carson Beck? Like, we talk about adding these play-in games when last year one of the reasons, and, you know, it coulda, shoulda, woulda. You never know what would have happened, but instead of Carson Beck, you're running out Gunnar Stockton against Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is fresh because they haven't played anybody since the USC game, which USC, as much of a powerhouse as they were last year, didn't really put up that much of a fight towards the end of the game. So, I mean, they're coming in there fresh, and you want to staple more games on top of what has already been a difficult season, and then you have the opportunity for these teams to play each other 3 times again? I just don't I don't think that that's the way to do it. I mean, I know there's not like a perfect scenario out there. I wish there was. Maybe keep it as it is. I don't think the divisions is the way to go because I agree. And Lander, I think you were the one who said, I don't trust the other leagues. Big 10, ACC, Big 12, like, they're so top-heavy that they can manipulate the divisions to make them weaker in order for their best cream of the crop to get in when it's cyclical in the SEC to where you never know who's going to be.
No,
and so,
you're right.
I don't see that working out well. I think you need to do the top 4 teams from each conference if that's the format that you want to do. I just think that would kind of eliminate everything from if the Big 12 and SEC get in, you just go with the top 4 teams. And I don't even know I know they're going to do the SEC championship because of the money, and they can't miss out on that. But at the end of the day, if I'm an SEC team wielding a championship berth and I've got to go, or a playoff berth and I've got to go play in Atlanta, I don't want to be that team. And then last little point, and I've got to agree with Pat with the UFL. It's just not great football this year. And there's been other years where it's been more compelling. You know, you had A.J. McCarron, you had Bo Scarborough. There was a lot of excitement, but the best games I've watched this entire season was D.C. and Michigan this year, which was fantastic. And then that Birmingham comeback that we saw against the Renegades. That was 2 compelling games, and that was the 2 highest scoring games. But for everything else, it's not great football. So if you want to get views when it's not great football, push the season back. I mean, Pat, when you've got all this stuff going on, playoffs, hockey, playoffs, NBA, and you start in the middle of March Madness and you've got the Masters to compete with, do it after the Masters and start running it through mid-July, and I guarantee you those numbers are going to skyrocket.
Oh, but you'll hear the blowback, Hastings. Oh, it's too hot. And yes, it's hot, but you figure out ways around it.
That just helps beer sales.
Great point.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
so I appreciate you guys taking
cooling
my call,
towels
guys.
for promotion.
Thanks,
Thank
Hastings.
you.
Appreciate it. So then here's the question. Well, first off, all these talks of play-in games, if you had a competent college football playoff committee that actually knew what they were doing, and people had confidence in a committee, then you know what? You probably wouldn't have to have all these playing games.
Mm-mm. But how many years have we seen it? Not specifically in the SEC, but the ACC, where you get a Clemson. All right, they've done their business. Everybody agrees that they belong, and then they have to play a Wake Forest or a Pitt, or a team that has no business. You know that probably not going to win that conference championship game. Meanwhile, the way that it's currently set up, you still have that title game, but then you have the second best team in North Carolina. But because they were in the division, let's just say with Clemson, they didn't get a spot in the championship game.
Well, and the other problem is these leagues are so big now that you cannot have like the Big 12 a couple years ago. And the Big 12, remember, they promoted it. They played a real round robin. Like they played everybody because there's only 10 teams in the Big 12 and you played non-conference games and you played everybody in the league. They were the only conference to do that. Well, these leagues are so inflated now. What, the Big Ten's got, what, 20 teams?
Something like that.
You know, or 18, and SEC's got 16. So, I mean, what happens? Okay, well, let's just take the 4 top teams in the standings. Well, what happens if team number 4 ended up playing the likes of a very typical year, a Mississippi State or a Vanderbilt, and team number 5 had to play LSU, Alabama, and Auburn?
Exactly.
I mean, so that's where a play-in game would at least give you the opportunity to go on the field and prove you're worthy of that spot.
Good with that. I could just see it both ways. If we were going to keep it the same but add an extra conference game, I'd be good with that too. We're getting more games though, right?
Yeah.
Either way, we
one way or the other, you're getting more games.
And it looks like ESPN, that would break down between 3 and 5 million per school per year
for the extra game.
Okay. 205-834-9450. Text line and folks weighing in. Trip from the state of Florida says, I'm fine with the new format. No way on a 9-team conference schedule. All right.
So he wants it to stay at 8?
Apparently.
Okay.
Josh says, as a young Auburn fan, give me Bama, Georgia, and LSU, but my dad would argue Florida over LSU. Yep. Brandon says, let's make Hastings calls from now on, brought to you by Craneworks, LOL. Hastings is a great caller. Notre Dame needs to be locked out of any and all postseason until they join a conference. Never going to happen and never going to happen.
It's a nice thought, though.
It is. There's a real chance these play-in games will further de-incentivize marquee non-conference games. If conference standings are the end-all, be-all, why risk injury in the non-conference? Wesley in Chalkville asks.
Well, here's the thing. If the SEC goes to 9 conference games, them and the Big Ten will come up with a scheduling agreement because the Big Ten's already at 9 conference games. So now that's a very easy process in which they could cross-pollinate and they could play each other. So that would help out these so-called marquee matchups.
And so you think you would get one of those per year and then you would have 2 cupcakes? So you'd have 9 SEC games, let's say an SEC Big Ten crossover.
And you would only have 2 so-called, Bama versus Mercer.
Yeah.
Or Auburn versus Alabama State, whatever.
Would you want, what if you did the SEC Big Ten Challenge, whatever we'd call it, would you want that to be the kickoff game every year? Like that's the first game of everyone's season is your
I would think the teams would be more inclined to do it early.
Yep.
Than doing it late.
Because then you're essentially guaranteeing, at least you're going to have a number of marquee matchups that first week.
Now, Brian Kelly would probably love to play in week 6.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Since he
wants to play Grambling with good reason. 1. He needs a week 1 victory.
Yeah.
Don't know if he's going to get it this year. It's going to be tough again.
The college football playoff could be fixed very easily. Unfortunately, that would require certain people to give up control, and people love control. Tripp goes on to say, follow-up text, if the SEC goes to 9 game, we will get screwed again.
When he says we, who's he referring to? Like the fan or a particular school?
Or just the conference as a whole?
Yeah, I was thinking the conference maybe. Because I go back to what y'all said a minute ago. Do you have any faith, regardless of what new system is in place? Do we have any reason to have faith in the committee that they are going to make the right decisions?
No, zero, because they overvalued Indiana last year over Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss.
And we have no transparency on the model that they're looking at for schedule, strength of schedule, or all the analytics.
And hindsight is what it is, but how many of you believe that SMU is a better football team than Alabama, South Carolina, or Ole Miss?
No, not many people did. No.
I'm going to be perfectly honest with all of you. For future questions like that, I am 99% of the time going to side with the SEC. Just because I believe it is the best product that we have week in, week out. It's the most consistent product. Not always. I realize Ohio State was very good last year.
But top to bottom.
Yes.
Yep.
And furthermore, I think America, the college football casual fan, hardcore fan that these networks are trying to attract, that's why. Go and look at what were the numbers for SMU and Penn State, that 11 a.m. kickoff we got from Happy Valley. Ended up being a terrible game that everybody predicted it would be. And it was not good. Now, Notre Dame, Indiana on that Friday night in South Bend. Yeah, because it was new too.
It's a good point.
Was anybody really fired up for Alabama and Cincinnati in the semifinals a couple of years ago?
No, we all knew how that was going to go.
Now, the people like Damien who were on that Cincinnati train for 2 years. Oh, let's see them play. Let's see them play. Give them a shot. And Alabama, depleted backfield, goes in there and runs 3 plays.
And that's kind of my thing. And that's a whole different discussion too. And I understand you have to give them a seat at the table, but that was kind of my hope with that Cincinnati year was, all right, we gave you a chance. We gave you a seat you got to sit at the table. You got destroyed. So now we can all admit that experiment's not going to work. So we can move on and stop acting and convincing ourselves every year that a group of 5 team is going to go and
Boise
compete for
was kind of fun.
They were fun, but we all they were never going to compete for a national championship.
No.
Hey, just like
be nice.
Just like when Michigan State played Alabama in the college football playoff, we knew that was going to be trash. And
Washington.
We knew Washington against Bama in Atlanta was trash. Alabama versus Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl in Arlington was trash.
Georgia, Notre Dame, that was fun. That was good this year.
Texas and Ohio State was interesting at times.
Alabama, Ohio State in the college football playoff in New Orleans was trash because Ohio State beat the crap out of Alabama.
No, Ezekiel Elliott beat the crap out of Alabama single-handedly. I saw it.
Did you cry?
No, but I wanted to.
That
was my freshman year of college. That was a heartbreaking way to
you remember
to kick it off. Oh, I vividly, yes. I can tell you exactly where I was.
Did you partake?
Yes. Made it better. Made it easier. Afterwards.
And the next day you regretted it.
That's right. What, the loss? Yeah.
Oh, whatever else you did. Was this in New Orleans? Wait a minute. Did you go to Crystal? We'll continue 3-man front. Jocks, 94.5.
137 Jocks 94.5. Paul Feinbaum show coming up at the top of the hour. Paul back in Charlotte. He'll be live today, talking a lot about the potential college football playoff expansion to 16 teams. That's part of the discussion that he'll have coming up at 2 o'clock. Here's the good news. We have crossed the off-season Rubicon. What do I mean by that? We are now closer to the beginning of the college football regular season than we have passed the time from the college football national championship game.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
So we're already halfway towards kickoff.
And we'll get our daily manna that will fall from the skies, if you want to go Old Testament, right? Because we traditionally will call this the desert period, entering the desert. But there's always someone, especially these days, that is unwilling to go out there and screw up. And because of social media and the access that we have, we get to talk about it.
I just thought that was neat. So we're closer to the actual kickoff of the season than we are with the rearview mirror of the college football playoff national championship game that we just had. That kind of puts it, at least in my mindset, like it's almost here.
It's almost here.
Which it's not.
And if we were starting the UFL schedule next week.
See
now what people are talking about. Just a little something that, as my grandmother used to say, tie you over.
Wet the whistle.
Don't spoil your dinner. We'll get you a little something to tie you over, fat Landrum.
I like to say husky Landrum, not
husky.
fat.
Yeah, I like that too. Husky Landrum.
You're fluffy.
Yes. You're healthy.
Big boned.
Healthy, baby boy. We'll continue with your phone calls. I got to tell you about our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks. First of all, download the app right now and enter promo code WJOX. That's what you have to do. Download the app, fill out your account, and Prize Picks is a great way for daily fantasy users to enjoy sports across the board, not just the college ranks, but the professional ranks as well, and player projections. That's what you do. And we have the pro basketball playoffs going on right now, and I will need assistance from one Conrad Van Order on a couple of projections. Let's go Donovan Mitchell. More than 26 points, Conrad. More or less than 26 points?
Ooh, I will go more for Donovan Mitchell, and that game will be tomorrow night between the Pacers, but it's an elimination game for the Cavs, and they've been banged up. So, yeah, Donovan Mitchell, more than 26 points.
What about Anthony Edwards? More than 4 3-pointers?
Ooh. I think I'll go more on that one. He was 5 of 14 the other night, so he likes to fill it up at times. And, yeah, I'll go more for Anthony Edwards. He had a big night the other night.
All right, we're going to go more for Donovan Mitchell on 26 points. We're going to go more than 4 made threes for Anthony Edwards. If we hit on both of those, we're a winner. Download the Prize Picks app today. Fill out all of your information, but most importantly, promo code WJOX. When you do that, your first $5 play, win or lose, you get $50 instantly back to your account. They have specials like Taco Tuesday, where you're going to get discounted projections, and you'll find out more once you go to Prize Picks. We appreciate our friends at Prize Picks. WJOX, once again, is a promo code, and we appreciate all that they do. They make even some of the downtimes fun. Everybody likes to win.
So we told you a little bit earlier, we actually played a clip of Pablo Torre as he did the Dan Patrick Show on Friday, kind of doubling down on his reporting. Well, earlier today, he was point blank asked the question, do you think Bill Belichick makes it to week 1 with North Carolina? This was his answer. I think there's an absolute real chance that he doesn't. End of quote.
Isn't that what Mitt Winter told us? Or who was that we had on recently that said they don't expect Bill Belichick to make it to the first week?
No, that was Scott. Dimitri said it, and so did Scott Hamilton from the Charleston Post. Bill Belichick is at ACC spring meetings right now. So you go from Portland, Maine to Amelia Island, Florida.
And she's with him, right?
I got to think she is, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because
you want to show it off to your buddies, right?
Well,
let's be honest.
I mean, listen, the number of I know I can speak for the SEC spring meetings. There was always wives. And who knows, there were probably wives and girlfriends.
Yep.
That were
unbeknownst to one another.
Exactly. Try to keep them separated. Like this one was at this pool.
Oh, that's
this
a nice
one
lady I met in the
was
lobby the
one.
other day. Mm-hmm.
How does she know you?
How does she know you?
Don't know.
It's like Michael Scott at Casino Night.
She's in our recruiting department. Don't worry.
And we've talked about it, but it is worth mentioning again. Coming up in about 2.5 weeks on June 1st, the buyout for Bill Belichick. If he were to walk away right now, it would be $10 million. If it's after June 1st, it's only $1 million. Just saying.
I was pretty optimistic about Bill Belichick having success and its relative success to North Carolina. I could see him winning 8 games, maybe 9. I don't even know how much I want to see him coach at North Carolina now.
You don't?
No.
You don't want to see him coach?
I don't know how much I want to. I was really fired up about it, and I feel like my eagerness or my anticipation is kind of waning.
I just have a feeling.
And I blame her.
If he does stick around and he does make it through the season, I feel like this could be a disastrous type season.
Man,
it just doesn't seem like it's going to go well, does it? It doesn't seem that way.
However it goes, you need to get her to sign an NDA. And I'm saying North Carolina needs to. Because she totally strikes me as the person, if things don't go well, it is everybody's fault, and she drags out everything.
She's going to write a heck of a book one day. Or someone will write it for her, and she'll put her name on it. But it'll be very interesting.
You know what it'll be called? Hook, line, and sucker.
It's good.
That's really good, Landrum. We'll get you in touch with her publicist.
I just want to know if she'll be laying out at the beach at Amelia Island.
I hope not. Those beaches are reserved for respected head coaches' wives, girlfriends.
I'm sure the ACC network, all 5 people that watch it, will be tuned in the next day or so.
Will that be like a couple of weeks ago, we revisited, it was during Pat Ponder's, me and my dad going to the topless beach when I was 12, and him figuring out that I just wanted to take pictures and his shoulder was in every picture. Are we going to see that from the ACC live from the meetings? And then the back shot, I'm not saying topless, but it's just she happens to make it into the frame.
Or maybe she does it on purpose.
You're watching, you're like, is that a mermaid?
I mean, it's like when you see the shot at Paul in Destin, and, he's on the back deck of the Sandestin Hilton.
Always with a button up and the sleeves are rolled up.
And it's shot, and you can see the beach, and you can see strategically placed folks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can see that with ACC meetings and Jordan and Bill.
That'd be so good, Paul and his wardrobe on the set, if they could get him to wear like a Harry Tees or
a Panama Jack t-shirt.
Panama Jack. Fudd Puckers.
You've never been until you've been.
It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. More 3-man front. This is Reaction Monday. A few more minutes to go before the Paul Feinbaum show at the top of the hour. This is Jocks 94.5. It is 1:49, Jocks 94.5. A reminder, the Paul Feinbaum Show coming up next at the top of the hour. Paul is back in studio in Charlotte. They'll spend a great deal of time talking about the college football playoff expansion for 2026, talking about the 16-game format. So that will be one of the major topics of discussion, as Paul was back in Birmingham last week, and he's back in Charlotte a little while, doing a few more shows. So what's going on up there?
Does he miss Dixie already?
I think he went back to Charlotte this week because he wanted to be at Quail Hollow. That's what I think.
That's I'll subscribe to that theory.
PGA Championship is coming up later this week. Matter of fact, they closed the course today because all the rain that Charlotte has been experiencing. So there were no patrons allowed on the course. We're trying to protect it for the next few days.
Good idea.
Mm-hmm.
205-834-9450. Text line continues to be active today. Nick says they need to bring back the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic with two big Power 4 schools. I like that Chick-fil-A kickoff game.
You just like the helmet they put on afterwards.
I did. I love the cow drones floating around, dropping
parachutes,
coupons. And when you showed up to one of those games, if you were lucky enough, Chick-fil-A pulled up on a golf cart and said, "How many's in your group?"
Yep.
We'll be right back with hot, fresh sandwiches.
Yeah, they did that at the Florida State-Alabama game. That was the first.
In 2017?
That was the first ever college football game played in that building.
And all we had to do was sacrifice DeAndre Francois.
And I know people who had no good intention of ever consuming any food that day. It was going to be straight liquid, and they still couldn't pass up a Chick-fil-A sandwich.
That's right.
Undefeated.
Yeah, who can?
Lee. Thank you, Lee. I think a 9-game SEC schedule would be fabulous for the Gators, especially if they played FSU, Miami, and South Florida as their non-conference games.
No love for UCF, huh?
Well, Frost is there. Give it a year. Give it a year back in the driver's seat.
I'm sad Molly missed our question on Friday of ranking the head football coaches in the state of Florida.
How would you rank them, Molly? 1 through 4. Top 4. Head coaches.
Where are you putting the Moscow-born Alex Golish?
Number 1.
I had him on my list. Yeah, say number 1. It's fine. It's fine.
He had him number 1 for a short time, then you changed it, right?
He's
Landrum had Scott Frost number 1.
He believes in democracy. He's not a communist.
I'd probably have him at 4.
You'd have Frost 4?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. That's tough with Mario and Billy. So I don't know.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
It was a great question.
That is, yeah, that's a
Where'd
tough
you have
one.
Norvell?
Oh, I forgot about him too.
Yeah.
I had him at number 1.
He had a stinker of a season
He
last year. I don't know if
did.
you were paying attention. We're just going to reward him for that 1 year?
No, I just forgot he existed for a second.
Wow. FSU Dave will really be happy with you now, Molly.
Well, he's getting overshadowed by his offensive coordinator, Gus Malzahn.
That's true.
Who will open up the season by beating Alabama at Doak Campbell Stadium.
Wow.
And then Conrad has to, what is it? You're not wearing pants? What is it?
When Alabama loses to Florida State?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not wearing pants for a week.
Short shorts.
Sorry, I don't make the rules.
Nope. Short shorts and roller skates. Jody. Tennessee and Syracuse are playing in the Chick-fil-A Kickoff Classic this year. It's a lot of orange. Does Tennessee break out a different uni? Do they go black or smoky gray?
The when they did the game at Bristol and they had the black and orange, or kind of like the dark gray, black, whatever that was, uniform, I like those. Those are awesome. I'd be in favor of that. Put Joey Aguilar out there in style.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll get the fan base fired up.
Posey says, or excuse me, not Posey. Drake asked the question, guys, why didn't my 49ers go after a quarterback in the draft? Because they got a pretty good one already. I have no idea, Drake.
And they made the acquisition of the offseason, Drake. They got Mac Jones to be the backup to Brock Purdy. Could have taken him with the 3rd overall pick a few years ago. Wait till he's damaged goods. Get him for nothing.
Mac Jones, the hyena laugh.
Shanahan's playing chess, not checkers. We'll see if Mac Jones ever sees the field.
Yeah. Josh, what SEC school would you... What SEC school could you imagine this Bill Belichick Jordan situation happening at?
I think there are certain schools that would be willing to accept the baggage.
Would the 2 in this state?
No. These 2 would not. But I'm thinking of...
Would yours?
No.
Would Vandy care?
Mississippi State wouldn't care. Arkansas wouldn't care.
Vandy wouldn't care.
Kentucky would say, come on.
It's probably right.
Would LSU care?
That one's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
They didn't have Coach Orgeron going to gas stations and talking to pregnant women. So,
would Texas care?
Oh, you got the poll monkey.
Just win, baby. That's all they care about.
A&M, that
Jimbo ruined it.
That goes against everything that they stand for. Every fiber of those prancing milkmen and the oath that they take every morning as they grab that long staff and stand at attention there at the gates of the College Station campus. I did say staff right. Paul Feinbaum's next.